We can call
Do
it.
you have to?
Yes, sir. We're live.
We got 10 seconds. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock, and we are going to reconvene our budget meeting workshop. And right out of the blocks, we got our favorite department head, Mr. Ziegler, with the Office of Public Defense. Mr. Ziegler, take it away.
Commissioner, did you get a chance to read the little one-page memo with the attachments I sent to Mr. Dansel? Pretty much outlined.
I don't think I did. Can you read it to
Basically-
me? Because I can't read.
I did. All three of you got it.
Okay.
Commissioner Baumann, you got a chance to read it, didn't you?
I did.
Basically, what we did was we took the budget that we're working under right now. The problem we got with that budget, obviously you remember the $600,000 supplementary I had to come here and ask you for.
Yeah, we remember very well.
But that wasn't the budget that I prepared,
That was through 2026, right?
the one that I'm submitting.
Good try there, Commissioner.
I tried.
Baumann. Good try. Good
tried.
try. I was hoping you'd say yes.
No, I wish.
It's
hard for me-
Can I read that, Commissioner Baumann? Would you share that with me? Since
Basically, what I did was, the budget I submitted was for the 1.8, and then when the 600,000 came in, that the auditor said we were gonna be short, I'm basically saying, for starting purposes right now, I think we ought to count on at least a 2.4, maybe higher for 2026. If that's what we're running right now, to get through with that 600,000, I think that's our safest bet. And I think you all know now, the one thing we don't know is what else is gonna come out of Olympia. We've been hit with these 2 times now. We've been hit with the what they want, the 10% reduction that I'm saying we can make it through at 6.5. And then we got hit with another rule change 2 or 3 weeks ago with no notice that I know of. I don't even think the judges got notice of that one. And without getting too deep in the weeds, basically what it did was we had 14 days from the time when somebody initially appeared in court till we had to arraign them. Well, the Supreme Court said, well, we don't like that anymore. You're going to have to do it within 3. So immediately I had to somehow come up with additional coverage for 3 days every week, keep these cases moving through. So Sant and I did that. But I have no idea what else they're going to.
So how does that work on say a 3-day weekend? For instance, this last Friday or this last Saturday, Sunday, Monday was technically a full weekend. So if somebody's arrested on Friday, then you got to let them go because Tuesday's not soon enough.
Technically, Saturday, Sunday aren't court days, so you'd probably have till Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
But even with that, the problem I had was I don't have enough attorneys at that point in time to do anything, so I had to figure out how are we gonna cover this? That's my problem as the administrator for this office. My focus is on coverage. I gotta have people to represent these people as they come up. The problem is we got too many of these people coming up, and I don't know that we're gonna see any drop in population growth in 2026. And the more people we're getting, the more criminals you're gonna get. I'm sorry, that's the bottom line. And I wished I had better answers for you, for planning purposes, but
That's Mr. Bauman's. So I ask you this, when you were in for that 600,000, as a county, what can we do to combat this state government of ours and their unwillingness to work with us on this subject? As far as even funds, they don't give us anything.
well,
They just mandate it to us.
I don't know that it provides you with a lot of comfort, but Mr. Dansel showed me a report from a lot of the counties around the state. Brian, what was that you showed me on the screen, where Lewis County was 2.4 million in the hole?
Yeah, Lewis County, Thurston County, pardon me.
It's statewide.
Yes.
Yes.
It's statewide. And what I've said to you before, and I've tried to sugarcoat it. They don't care. The people that are behind this stuff don't care about your financial resources. They don't care about what you want to do. They don't care. They know better.
Would you talk just a little closer to the mic, please?
They know better. And you've got a small cadre of people, I think, in the state legislature and the state Supreme Court that are basically coming up with these revisions and simply saying, this is how it's going to be. So you get it done. And that's the attitude. And it is statewide. We're not alone. I think, and actually, if it's any comfort, we're probably in a little bit better shape than others. Right now, with what we've got here today and what I'm proposing for 2026, if nothing else, we're competitive with Benton. And that's always been something I've tried consciously to do. We share a border with that county. And so I spend time talking with Keith Johnson, what are you going to pay your people in 2026? I wanted to know that before I came up with any numbers, because I don't want to pay less. If I do, you're going to see people trotting across the Blue Bridge. It's that simple. They're going to go where there's more money. That's just a fact. So
You're anticipating your budget at being 2.5 million?
I think pretty close. I want to be wrong. I haven't touched the homicides. We're going to leave those at the same rate. I think I showed you in that written memo where they got the 3%. My predecessor set it up for 3%. Bump for the felony defenders, which sounds bad, but I found out that Benton's going to bump 2.5, trying for 2.5 for 26 and another 2.5 for 27. So we're still competitive with Benton, and that's important. And I don't even think I'll try to compete with Walla Walla or Yakima. They're way out of our league money-wise. Mr. Mullen, you look positively distressed. They might be in terms of overall budget. They may be in deeper than the ditch than we are. But they were paying astronomical sums to their public defenders, I thought. I thought that's what they were paying them was totally unrealistic. I mean,
So if we don't keep up with what they're asking, then we have to let these people go?
well, they'll just go. They'll quit.
No, I'm sorry, the offenders. If we don't represent them in court,
They go.
we have to let them go.
You got to let them go. And you may end up having to let a lot of them go anyway, because right now, do I have all the people I'd like to have? No, I'd like to have some more lawyers. I'd like to start hiring in terms of anticipatory hiring instead of always running to catch up. It gets old after a while, and it's hard.
Are
It's
these
hard to
lawyers,
attract people.
are these lawyers even available?
No, you got to dig for them, and you got to recruit. And right now, I'm hoping to have more than one what's called a legal intern for next summer. That won't cost us any money, and I can put that person like in the district courtroom with somebody that is an attorney, and they can learn. Like the lady that I've got downstairs now, my newest attorney, Olivia, was our intern last summer. Graduated Gonzaga, passed the bar. Now I've got her working for us. But that's just one. That's not enough. But that raises the same question then. Once I start doing that, I'm always looking at it, well, should I start hiring these people with no space for them, or should we start looking for space and then start filling the space up like Benton's doing right now? Now, I like that model. I think we should be looking at space. And where do we want this office to be in 5 years, with what facilities and what support staff and all that other kind of.
It's pretty rare to win on defense, and so your idea of offensive, looking ahead, being prepared, anticipating, I think is certainly is a better strategy than trying to always catch up.
It makes it hard for you if I come to you and say, hey, I've got 3 people I can hire right now. It's a lot of money. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I mean, if nothing else, I'm gonna keep trying to recruit these people. Because in the back of my mind, I'm just really worried that one of these days we'll wake up and then maybe we're really gonna be short-staffed. And then we could be in a real pickle.
Well, my thought is this state government with their arraignment policy now going to 3 days, we're fighting an uphill battle with them because they don't want these people to face charges. They don't want them to face any repercussions for their actions. They want them just to be let go. So we're fighting a non-winning game here.
You're fighting a school of thought that is basically predicated on a diminution of any concept of personal responsibility for action. That's the new theory in town.
So I think we can probably cut your budget way down and just buy bus tickets to Seattle. And when the ones that we let go, we put them on a bus and send them to Seattle.
Well, that's my understanding. We're also getting buses from Olympia, Seattle right now.
Yeah, and Spokane.
And Spokane.
And I've been saying this for years, and everybody says, oh, he's just making that. No,
Oh,
I'm not.
I think it's true. I hate to say that, but I think it's very true. But outside the scope of what we're talking about here, just the numbers, if you're going to do anything on this, the counties, and I think particularly the counties that are most affected, and now I'm seeing it's not just small counties.
No, it's big counties too.
I mean, King County was one of the most vocal opponents to this new 10% reduction thing that they came up with.
Well, let's join forces then.
But somebody's got to get the counties organized. When I came and talked to you last time, it was
Eastern Washington Council.
Wasak was here, Derek. And I know that Derek finds me abrasive, but
He's not the only one.
I'm just not going to pull punches anymore. I don't. And the irony of that is, and I told Brian this, when I had that second meeting in front of the state Supreme Court, it was Derek that gave one of the best financial presentations for the county of that entire meeting that day. And he flat put it right there on the table and looked at Chief Justice Gonzalez and said, this cannot be done. And this is why. And you could see in their faces, we don't care. But then they came back with this modified, well, we'll give you 10 years to do it, and then we'll come and look at you in 3 and see if you're making a good faith effort. But it was Derek that did that. And yet what I heard at that meeting the last time when I was with you here and they were giving their presentation, that's not what I heard. And I find there's just so much of that tendency to just go to Olympia and get along, be part of the crowd, don't make waves, go through the motions, make your case, knowing full well that the decision's probably already been reached on a lot of it. And I think it's the state Supreme Court that's pushing a lot of that, and I think there's a cadre in the state legislature that's willing to rubber stamp all of these notions. That's what's going on. And I know WAPA thinks that, the prosecutors think that, and I'm willing to do the job, and I'm willing to stand up for the rights of people to be defended against the government, because if there's anybody I fear as much as criminals, it's the government. And that's what OPD is supposed to do. But it's not supposed to do it to the point where it makes the criminal the be-all and end-all of the system. And I'm not supposed to be exalting the lifestyle of the criminal, and I'm not supposed to be telling the tax-paying public, you just give me everything I want. That's over the line. And I just don't, I'm never going to do that. I don't believe in that. But that's what we're up against in Washington State. Oregon's in the same boat. Look at Oregon's in way worse shape than we are. Their public defense system was a national disaster. I mean, they made every publication, I think, in the United States just because of how fast they bankrupted their system. And look what they've got in Portland. It was government that created that. Anyway.
As much as I hate the even thought of raising taxes, but Is it possible to put a public safety tax on that would, where we could use it for the Office of Public Defense and our prosecutor's office to fund something that, to where we prosecute everybody
Yeah,
in Franklin County?
I get where you're coming from
And make
on
it
that.
to where, I don't want to commit a crime in Franklin County because I know they're going to prosecute me.
I think it's just the opposite. I mean, if you want my opinion, I think that the ulterior motive here is to, on purpose, make county spend excess funds to be able to bring people in with the end result of, I think this is a soft on crime.
I do too, and I think we should make it hard on crime.
Yes.
So is it possible to put a 0.1% tax on to fund these offices so we're not turning anyone loose because of not being able to represent them or
Yeah.
prosecute them?
So there's the councilmanic sales taxes that you can approve. I would have to look into like the uses, like where you can use that. And I don't, usually it's the, like for road deputies or for going after like a certain, like, I remember there was like a meth pilot program years past, but let me look into that. I don't want to give you the wrong answer because I agree with where you're coming from. I've had conversations with folks that are in both the House and in the Senate, and they've confirmed to me that that's kind of the deal. It kind of follows the course of, you'll remember when they had the no pursuit law,
Right.
where you literally had people driving on Interstate 5 calling in saying, hey, I've got a state trooper that's following me. He can't arrest me because of the new law. That's
Bizarre.
yeah, it's part and parcel with that. So I agree with you. Let me look into it and I'll find out if we can do that.
But I would just say that we could raise the money and try to do what we can, but when they have the arraignment at 3 days and they're doing these things, that we can't really keep these people to prosecute them. So
That's
we
what they
can-
want. They want us to turn them loose.
Exactly. So
So-
let's just cut his budget down to bus tickets to going back to Seattle, and let's just let him go. And
I guess can you give them the option? Say, we're going to prosecute you, or you can get out of jail free to go to Seattle card.
let's
You
send
can
him back
ask
to where the
Mr.
problem is.
Sant that question.
Well, that's the other part too. The other part too, gentlemen, is that it doesn't just affect the public defense budget. It affects the prosecutor's budget. It affects the courts. It's an out of control spiral. We're looking at just the attorneys and the caseload for the next, what is it, till 2036 rather. But the truth of the matter is, and this has been agreed upon by all the experts, that we don't have enough attorneys in this state that would even qualify to fulfill the state's demands right now.
So I'm just showing him the caseload standards. So right now you have in Superior Court, you have a caseload max of 150 per attorney, and in District Court you have 300. And by 2036, we go from 150 in Superior Court down to 47. So you reduce it by 2/3, and in District Court it's more than 2/3 reduction. And so if you just take our cost today, increase it 3 times, I mean, that would be a straight across the board, not counting consumer price index and all of the other associated. But I mean, look at this one right here. 300 down to 60. That's almost a 6-fold. So if you look at it the other way, that's a 6-fold increase in what we currently spend. So today in Franklin County, we spend approximately 4% of our base budget with OPD. So if you do 4% times 6, I mean, that's 24% of our budget. That's just doing the simple math, not any of the. That's just with this. That's not the
PA's
court.
office.
That's not the PA's office. So what do we do, Larry?
I don't know, I mean, those numbers that you just read are fairly accurate. That's what they're trying to get us to do. And for want of a better term, I guess as a lawyer, I find it immoral. I find it just absolutely in terms of public policy.
Are they trying to intentionally crash the system? And if
Thanks.
that's the truth, then what is their ulterior motive, or what are they trying to do?
I think they think government's the answer to all of our prayers. We're smarter than you. We'll wreck the system first, and then we'll come in and build it up the way we want it and the way we think it'll work. Now, is it going to work like Obamacare worked? Probably. But these people are true believers. I mean, that's the way they think. I mean, I deal with these people. I've dealt with them for 45 years. I just never thought that I would see it get to the point where it is today. And yeah, I think some of them are, let's just wreck it all. These people aren't going to listen to us. These people are a bunch of East Side.
They're communists. Let's face facts. They're communists. They're trying to destroy America, and then they want to bring in their government takes care of everybody. Just what you said.
I'm not going to put a label on them, but their
communists.
philosophy is that government's the answer to a lot of the problems. And you can't talk with them. I really thought after that one meeting we had, in fact, it was the same meeting where Derek spoke, I thought they'd back off completely. But all they did was, well, we'll just give you a little bit more time. We'll give you 10 years, and we recommend you reduce 10% a year. And I didn't even think that was realistic. That's why I came up with a 6.5% to get us down to the end of the 10-year mark and be within their guidelines. I'm really anxious to see what they're going to do when they come back in 3 years and say, now we're going to look at where you are. And I think a lot of the little counties are going to be found wanting. They're not going to have met the expectations.
But it's a scale thing, and so I mean, I don't see King County as being any difference because it's a scale thing. You know, so yes, the smaller counties have less resources, but the problem is by and large worse in the larger counties. So
In many ways, yes. But it was King County, like I said, that spoke the loudest and said, this is absolutely impossible. This cannot be done. In fact, you and I were at the meeting when the Seattle City Council fellow spoke up, the retired Navy fellow that said,
Yep.
you know, we listened to you people before, and we spent all the money you told us to spend.
didn't work.
We ended up with a law enforcement problem that is now morphed into a public health problem in downtown Seattle. But now we're out of money. And
Yeah.
now you want us to do this? Where's
Well,
the money?
They keep doing experiments at the expense of our communities. Yesterday, there was an article that there's been over $2 billion spent on the homeless problem in Washington State.
Yeah.
And the problem is exponentially worse, and throwing money at it is not working. And
No.
Okay.
I see that the homeless camps are gone in Colville, and I asked what they did, and they says, we got a new mayor that was more forceful, and we started ticketing them and fining them, and they left.
was it similar to the Biden-Trump administration, where the Biden said he needed more legislation, and Trump went in and just shut the border and used the laws that already exist on the books? Is that what the mayor did? He just used the laws on the
I
books
believe-
and said, we're done. We're not in our community.
Yep, and they're gone, and they were shipping them in from Seattle. A big homeless camp, and it's gone. But what if we, say we found a way to fund that and give them what they want, and we start incarcerating more people instead of letting them go, if that's what their goal is?
Well, their goal's not for more incarceration.
I know their goal is to let people go, but what if we found a way to fund it, and of those people that are before the courts, if we started incarcerating them,
I'd like to see that. That'd be fun
Then-
to watch.
Mr. Danzel.
instead of letting them go, because if that's their goal is for us, if they're trying to make us let people go, why don't we give them what they want and we start prosecuting them all?
When you say let them go, don't put that in your mind. Don't picture the fact that you're just opening up the door and letting them walk out of the courthouse. That's not what's going on here for the most part.
Okay.
What they're talking about are the even more expensive alternatives to incarceration. That's why under this new rule, they're saying, okay, you need X number of lawyers, but now you need all these social workers, You need all these alternative programs, the drug court, the veterans court, the ones that cost real money. But we want you to start running all these people. You divert them. It's a diversion program. That's the buzzword. You divert them out of the jail and you put them into these other programs, but then lo and behold, from your perspective, you're spending even more money.
Well, yeah, that would be more
It's
expensive.
very expensive.
Growing
Now, the
government.
goal is laudable, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you go to drug court and you see somebody successfully go through, or go to veterans court and see somebody get through successfully, I mean, as somebody who's defended criminals for 45 years, I'll tell you right now, the number of people I've seen rehabbed is probably less than 10. But there's nothing more satisfying than to see somebody that makes it. But where I get off the boat with those programs is these people think that they can inculcate the desire to be rehabilitated from the outside in. And I've said all along my whole professional career, look, directly to guys getting ready to get on the bus to go to prison, the day's gonna come, you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna decide you're either in the joint because you put yourself there, not because somebody else put you there, not because you had a hard childhood or any other reason, and you're gonna decide right then, that day, this is the last stretch I'm gonna do. And then you can be rehabbed. Then you should have some kind of support. That's the kind of person I think we focus on. But these people I'm talking about, let's just divert almost all automatic. It don't work that way.
Which is growing government, because you're creating more.
More, bigger bureaucracy.
Yes.
And you're spending more and more and more. And I
That's
don't buy it.
communism.
I'm sorry, I just don't. What you're saying about locking more of them up, I probably shouldn't say that, but yeah, you'd draw a lot of attention from the west side. They wouldn't be happy. But I don't know what they could do about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr.
I
Dixon.
did want to provide an update. It is my belief that, yes, we could utilize the public safety sales tax to hire more prosecutors, to help with expenses that go along with all this, and to help actually pay for Office of Public Defense, if I'm reading it correctly. So I'd like to get a second opinion on that from our legal team, but there's a little bit of flexibility there in what the uses could be for. But it is a public safety issue, I believe, and I
And
think
that is, that's a tax we're already collecting, correct?
At the end of the
Yes.
10-year period.
Yes.
we're already collecting that.
It's paying off our jail. Right, Tim?
Well,
Yes, we have a few different public safety taxes already. So I think that's probably the problem, is that we're already collecting this stuff and utilizing it already. And so it's not super easy to just divert this to something else, because we're already using it for what we're already doing.
All right.
well, I think when we're out of options, we have to look at things, how much we're spending for the transit. And yet we can't afford to prosecute anybody.
All right, Mrs. Ziegler, thanks for brightening our day.
Yeah, thanks for all the cheery good news.
Always so cheery.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming and fighting hard on behalf of Franklin County, because while it's not a fun discussion, it's one that needs to be had in the open, and appreciate the letter that you wrote on our behalf and to the Supreme Court, and
Yes, thank you, Larry, for all that you do. We appreciate it.
Larry, I'm not going to thank you. I'm going to say the opposite.
What's that?
He's always so cheery.
I'll be the bait.
Tie him to a tree with him, cover him in hamburger, and then you and him have a field day.
You're doing a good job on your own. All right, moves us down to the Commissioner miscellaneous budgets. Mr. Danzel. Commissioner miscellaneous budgets. 241, 585, 590, 700, 720, miscellaneous 100, 103, 119, 191, 515, and 580. Wow. we got a lot of budgets.
I can just pull them up quickly and we can just go through these one by one.
Okay.
241, no change at all.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's 3 lines in that department. Salaries and wages, office supplies, Board of Equalization, travel, nothing changing. 585, added $240 to the cell phone reimbursed. And that we're paying $50 a month for the cell phone, so the amount that was in there wasn't going to be enough for the year, so that was increased to cover the full year. I mean, right now, we're trending to hit the 600. That's the only change there. Stop me if you want to talk about anything in more detail.
If you don't mind, Tim, I mean,
Oh, go for it.
for the most part, it's just going to be, on all of our budgets are going to remain flat with just, as Tim said, maybe like a couple of adjustments for minor issues, with the exception being,
Probably the biggest change would be in 11700 for like the risk pool and stuff, the insurance, yeah.
You want to go to that one?
Yep, I can
Look at that
go
one,
there.
700.
So 11700, there was so originally there was I guess this depends on what the board wants to do. This $350,000 was for the, right now it's in as a reduction. Just there hasn't been I'm not sure what we're doing as far as this, if we're going to go to, I know we've been looking like an enterprise model for the fleet potentially, but, this 597, this first line reduction of $350,000 to zero would be, this is what would, it was, the 350 was supposed to be contributed this year to the motor vehicle fund. I'm not sure if that's happening at this point or not. And so I guess we need more discussion on whether that's happening or not, or what, where we're going with that.
So we did it in 25, but you're asking about 26, and right now,
Correct, but I don't think we've even done it. We have it budgeted for 25, but there hasn't been anything paid yet, I don't believe.
so there's the vehicles that you and I have spoken of, what's the status of them? Have they been paid for yet? If they've been paid for, how were they paid for?
that was outside of the order. They were paid for outside of the ER&R fund.
So they've already been paid for.
They've been, yes.
So they come, how do we pay for them? What,
It was just I think part of it predated me, was when the order started, but if I'm not mistaken, it was just straight out of a bottom line budget. So, in other words, when you approved the budget last year, you gave the approval authority to each department, each elected official, they can spend down to that dollar amount, and it was out of their budget that was purchased.
okay, so
Is that out of the motor vehicle, the motor sheriff budget?
Sheriff brought in 5.
what I'm wondering is if this,
2025? The sheriff's office, I don't think they have a capital budget in 2025, or not enough to buy vehicles anyway.
I'm not sure if it was paid with the grant funding or what the deal is. I just know, I mean, you know as well as I do that it was replaced by the the way that it works is the sheriff's office doesn't participate in our ER&R. And so that's sort of the onus of kind of the frustration here, is because not everybody is in ER&R. The 350,000 I held over because I didn't know how close we were going to be on being able to balance the budget, and I wanted you gentlemen to be able to make that call. It was an area where I thought that, and also speaking with Craig Erdman, that there was it was just trouble with the liquidity and cash from some of the departments to come up to fund the 350,000. So I think that it's just a discussion piece to be able to discuss between now and when we finally adopt our actual budget as to what you want to do there. My opinion would be to continue to allow us to further our discussion with a couple of vendors that actually are able to take advantage of, because of their volume buying, they get enormous dealer discounts. And so kind of one of the outfits that we're working with now, the way that it works is by the second year, you have equity actually in the vehicles that you're utilizing. And it's a lot more turnover, but you're never going upside down on vehicles, and you don't get the situations like, what was it, stories about when a couple of years back, there was a couple old square body Chevy, like 74 Chevy pickups still, and which, by the way, I would have wanted one of those just to take home. But the point being is, I think it's looking forward the best way to operate. So I would like to see us try to do that, but not at the expense of if we had to divert road funds or do a levy shift.
So, I'm still not clear if those vehicles have been paid for that are brand new, that are not on the road yet, but are in our possession.
There is only $49,500 of budget in the sheriff's budget for capital. There's $28,000 that I think was for radios, and then there's a line for tables, or I'm not sure what exactly. I remember some discussion on that, but there was 21,000 for another item. But there's not, so there was $350,000 in non-departmental that was originally supposed to be to go to the motor vehicle. I don't know if the intent was to move that back to the sheriff's office for the purchase of vehicles or not, but currently that's not available to the sheriff's office right now. So I'm not sure where, and there's nothing showing up as being spent yet either. If it's been invoiced and we just haven't seen it in the system yet or not, but.
Could you get some clarity on that so that we know? And then, I don't think that the 5 vehicles would equate to 350,000, and I think that the remainder of that was intended to start or to go into the ER&R fund for the beginning of the replacement for those vehicles. That was what my memory told me.
And kind of, this is an impetus also, this is why that signature policy we passed is so important.
Yep.
This problem will never exist again, because we will know.
Let me catch you on that, because we also passed a litigation communication policy that's been completely and wholly ignored. And so, yes, I appreciate your enthusiasm on that, and that is certainly the intention of the signature policy, and I look forward to that being helpful in the process.
So can I explain a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yeah, kind of the way that works is, and so like when I was on the other side of it, when I was at USDA, and we were responsible for letting out grant monies to some counties and to some farmers and individuals. The way that works is a copy of that resolution will be sent to every single vendor we have, so that they know also that the only people that they can sign contracts with is the Board of Commissioners. And so it'll go out to everybody. We used to get them all the time when I was at USDA, and because people would leave, people would retire, whatever it might be. And so you get that and you go, okay, I have to now, I can't engage in a contract with so-and-so. So I agree with you when it comes to the The budget, though, I think that it'll be very, very helpful. And what'll end up happening is it'll be, frankly, you guys will probably get a little bit tired at first next year of people coming in with too many. It'll be like it's a lot of signatures that you're having to go through. But ultimately, I think it'll be a big plus because it'll do two things. Number one, it'll eliminate this scenario. But then number two, how many times have we talked about the idea that we want to track everything that's grant funded, know when those grants run out, and then what are we going to do afterwards when the grant runs out? Are we going to pay for that position? Does the whole program go away? I think it puts you all and the board for the future ever in a position to be able to know those answers better.
Yeah, something that we need to be really, really aware of is single-time lump sum grants, and allocating that funding toward a reoccurring expense. And putting those two together does not end well. And so, yeah. Or if we know that going into it, saying that when this grant runs out, this program or whatever the case is done at that point. So yeah, if we could get some further information on this potential vendor and the having an opportunity to purchase and roll over vehicles more consistently and that would be good.
The next line here is a transfer to reserves. This just trying to, with the recent reserve fund policy that was approved, just trying to, so it laid out a plan to try to be fully funded within 5 years. And so this is essentially 1/5 of trying to get to that point, the $1.4 million. There's some just revenue amounts, pretty small amounts that just budgeted. Municipal court rental, looks like we're collecting a little bit more on that, 125 versus 120 in the previous year.
Oh, sorry, can you, real quick,
Yep,
what was our hotel motel tax?
we get almost nothing. There's two different lines. I'm not sure the exact difference between the two, but I know they come in two different lines. I forget, it's labeled differently as well when it's received by the treasurer's office, but between the two, it's about $9,000. Yeah.
Those are just from the outlying little towns that they have motels and stuff. We don't get anything, I believe, from the motels in town here.
Yeah, we're making a killing on this stuff.
Hey, we rent them a baseball field for $1 a year.
As long as we don't spend that all in one spot.
Professional services, that was brought down.
The buck now?
Maybe.
So this is,
Partners with you.
this line's it's paid for a lot of labor laws stuff, arbitration, growth management, I think HB appeal in 2024. Right now, we're trending a little bit lower, so that was brought down by 50,000 for 2026. Just so you can see, we spent 276,000 in 2023, then 204. Right now, through 9 months, we've spent 73, so that was brought down to try to match what it looks like where it was happening. The state auditors, we got 106.5. I need to look at their most recent billing to see. I know they gave us a quote. I need to make sure that this is what it should be. All these staying the same. Insurance liability, so that was brought up by 139,000. So it's 505,871 previously, and that was increased by 139,000. So we're at right about 640 or so. And then there's the kind of the math as far as what was budgeted. And then there was 10% essentially added for, we've been growing the insurance costs have been going up a lot. I think one of the years I looked at it went up like 18%, and then the next year was like 20%. We've been going up a ton. So even the 10% that was added here may be light. Hopefully, it's enough to cover us this year. But the insurance stuff has been increasing a lot. The insurance property that was brought up $14,000 from 44 to 58. The cyber terrorism insurance, that was another one. It was 2,000. There was 4,000 added to bring that up to 6,000, just putting it more in line with what we've actually been spending. This here is a new one that was added. It's for, so there's a fee, there's a equipment replacement fee that goes towards, it goes to our equipment revolving fund, election equipment revolving fund. We charge, relatively recently, we started charging a equipment replacement fee to all the districts. And so there's money going into a fund to eventually replace equipment that's needed to be replaced. And so this is the county's portion of what would need to go into that to pay our share of the equipment that we're replacing as well. The reserve fund balances bring it up from 3.9 to 7 million. This is, kind of in line with what the increase in the beginning fund balance went up. Pretty close to what that went up. And that's pretty much it in the non-departmental. Anyone have any questions on that? The contingency was also brought up a few $100,000. We've been, we had 600,000 budget in 2025, and as we've already gone through that already at this point of the year. So we've been using more than what we've been budgeting here recently, and so that was increased for 2026 as well. We can move on if there's no other questions.
Questions? Comments? Okay, we'll move on.
Increased some of the sales tax figures. This one was brought up from 725 to 770,000. This is a criminal justice sales tax in our aid to other government budget. There's a juvenile sales tax that we've been using to essentially fund our juvenile operations at Benton County. This was 3.4 in 2025. It's at 3,339,000 for 2026. There's some other small revenues.
Can I ask about that one?
Same. Yep.
So juvenile court facilities, so we've been spending 3.4 million for juvenile services.
I mean, that's what we've collected. The how much we've spent is
that 1/10 of 1%?
Yes.
And that's bringing in 3.4?
yeah. You can see it was 2.8 in 2023, then 3.1 in 2024, 1.7 through September of 2025, so that would only be March, April, May.
What all do we spend that on?
7 months. It would be the juvenile. So we've. Let me pull it up.
Yes, go ahead.
So right now it's spent for, as Tim said, to fund our portion of the juvenile justice in Benton County, but also it's originally the intent for voters, I believe, was to eventually, when we got to the size, to someday build our own center.
So what all different services would that include? So juvenile detention, juvenile court services, what all types of things does that cover? And how big is the need in Franklin County?
Okay, so let me start. There's a need. We have a statutory obligation that we must do this. So, and there is a need. We have about 6.5 bed days that we utilize for any given month of the year. So,
So 6.5 bed days, so then that would be times 30 days a month.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. And so that fund is used to right now spend toward our agreement for juvenile justice services at the Juvenile Justice Center in Benton County. But again, it was originally intended, and the eventual long-term intention was to provide our own facility in Franklin County at some point in time.
So if I'm doing my math right, so that's a 24/7 obligation or need. So if I do that, we're spending over $14,000 a day on these services, seven days a week. Maybe I did that wrong. So we
But here's
spent,
the cost. In 2023, we spent 2.7 million.
Okay,
2024, it was 2.8.
so 2.7 million divided by 365 days, 70. I was off on that. So that's $7,400 a day.
If you want a bigger number, to just divide it by 6.5
That's what I was,
people.
yeah, that's what I was trying to understand, how much we're,
We're spending a lot of money on juvenile justice.
I have a question there, but it's not fully formed, so maybe I'll follow up with you on that. And that's a huge number every day, and yeah, thanks.
So this is the collection side of it. There's budgeted 3,390,000 on it, and then that was the spending that we're doing.
Are
on
we
it.
starting to,
well.
with you talking about eventually having our own facility, is that fund starting to build?
This is just in current expense right now. So, I mean, we can talk about moving this out to separate it better, but through the years, we've definitely spent more. We've spent more than what we've collected, but
On
but-
juvenile services?
But we would want to be careful at some point, making sure that we're spending enough, because this revenue is dedicated to this. And so, I mean, at some point, we could look at separating this out into a different fund.
I was just wondering if the reason for it to exist was to eventually have our own facility, are we starting to build towards that? That was really my question.
Mr. Anderson and I have talked about that. We've talked about how we could build a reserve fund for that purpose. But as you can see, and I think what Tim was illustrating there is, we are not liquid when it comes to that tax. We spend more than we receive. And I think, Tim, what you're saying here is that the adopted budget for 2025 was $3,404,104, and the proposed budget is 3.39. What we're saying there is that's how much we think the rate is going to decrease, or like how much sales tax revenue we're going to collect,
Yes,
just in
correct.
general. So that's how that number's arrived at. So that's a projection. That's what we think we're going to have coming in. But if you look at the past, and then that's, I think, why Tim went and showed you, but the 2.79 million, when we were spending every single penny of it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
There's some other small revenue amounts, but then moving on to the expenditures, the Hanford Communities was moved up just slightly from 3,000 to 4,000, added 1,000 there. Council of Governments assessment, just based on how much we've spent so far this year, another 2,000 was added on. Ben Franklin tuberculosis, 1376 was added on just to meet with what we've been spending. This is the Human Services Contract Grant Administration. It was 60,100. Another 3,000 was added onto that, which is based on 5,008 a month plus 5% inflation.
So that's the contract we've been discussing over the last number of weeks.
Correct.
What about the one above that, Ben Franklin Health Services?
It would be to a different agency, to the health district.
Yes, Mr. Danzel.
Yes, that's where you're looking at the human services. But there's going to be more that's spent towards that because there's fees that are being taken out of the grant as well. And so I think that we'll have to get back to you what the full all in is on that.
But yes, there's in the, I think it primarily comes out of the 188 fund. It's like the affordable housing fund, or they've got it like affordable housing for all, ending homelessness. But I think it's out of the 188 fund that there's like 9 programs in that each has a fee assessment with it that's paid out of the fund. And then we also have, there's some veterans costs that we pay out of the veterans fund.
So that'll be on a different day and a different presentation that'll be in.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like human services will be tomorrow.
Okay.
That's pretty much all the changes in that budget. As far as the reserve fund, pretty much the only thing in this is there's the $1.4 million that's the other side of the transfer out of current expense. There's 1.4 million but being budgeted transferred in, 671,000 beginning fund balance, which currently is out. Most of it's outstanding as a 500,000 of that's outstanding as a loan to county roads or motor vehicle anyway. I can't remember. I think it's county roads, not motor vehicle, but I could be wrong. And then all of that's just budgeted as, there's no expenditures budgeted, just ending fund balance on that. This is the supplemental historical preservation fund, the dollar fee that's collected. Looks like we were budgeting $218,000 to start the year. Just the cash investments that are in there, and then these are the fees that would be collected throughout the year. There was no change made on either of those. And then there's been minimal activity. There's 20,000 that has been spent this year, but through the years you can see not a ton of activity. So most of it's just budgeted as essentially ending fund balance. There's a little bit for Franklin County ordinance codification and office supplies, but like I say, not much has been spent.
You guys know that's the Dwayne Davidson's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got a board now, and they're doing good things.
But Dwayne deserves a lot of credit and kudos for setting that up.
Yes.
Incredible job he did.
Just the ARPA fund, right now, I can double check. I had budgeted that we had about 208,000 left to spend. It does look like we can, reallocate projects. If there was stuff that wasn't going to be spent on other projects, we can reallocate to projects that were outstanding at the end of the year as well. And so I think we will be able to spend all of this money instead of returning it to the federal government, which is a positive for us. But
Tim, could that be used for these radios that were,
I think it had to be a project that was outstanding already, that was already approved for the ARPA grant at the end of the year. I can't remember the exact context. We were doing a lot of research on this the other day. Ultimately, there was money that was kind of our thought process was that there was money that was being spent for the corner project out of the courthouse expansion fund. I think we can actually, instead of using that money from the courthouse expansion, I think we can actually reallocate this money to that and use this money. That if there's any money freed up on this, I think we can use this money instead of the courthouse expansion fund money.
That was what my comment was going to be is you can use it to like supplant funding. So in other words, it gives you more options and flexibility. So having that 208,000, I think will come in handy to be able to do something along those lines.
So right now, there's, it's just slated as essentially ending fund balance, but we can move this to whatever appropriate project as we get closer to the year. As we get closer to the end of the year, I can put it in an actual budget line that is suitable for what the board wants to do. I think we briefly looked at the mental health fund yesterday when the judge was here.
11.9 in it, I think. By the end of 26, it'll have 15.9.
I've got budgeted, currently we have budgeted 12,662,000 to start the year. And then bringing in approximately $425,000 of property tax, another $3.4 million of sales tax. And then there hasn't been much. We've got 300,000, well, let's see, $32,000 just based on previous spending, 32,000 for intergovernmental services, and then just everything else in contingency. We can look to, I know for 2025, I think there was more. Oh yeah, there's some transfers. So for 2025, we had budgeted some transfers for public defense to fund a contract in there. Probation assessment, there was, I think, funding another contract. So we can continue to potentially do that out of this fund this year as well.
We can fund some public defense out of that?
I think there was a specific contract that was related to mental health stuff that I think Eric had looked at and ultimately, and that was added last year. And then we've been, corrections quarterly provides details of mental health related costs that they have. And historically, there's been a $400,000 transfer. I think that was actually in their budget. I think it was actually increased to $600,000 this year because they've had well over $400,000 a year. And so this could be potentially increased as well.
So to answer your question a little bit, Brian, we did fund some contract in the OPD's office with that mental health tax, and I believe that there is a portion that is able to be used for that purpose.
Any other discussion on the mental health?
None here. Any other?
Do you know when we'll, when the call for funds will be for that 4.7 million we allocated for betterments at the Columbia Valley Center for Recovery?
I have not heard neither thing, or I don't recall anyway.
Is that taken into account in that 15?
I mean, right now it's all just pretty much in contingency, but, so yes, I mean, I guess you could say it's reserved for it. I mean, we can create a line for it, but, and I can look to do that. I can add a specific budget line on for it.
There is one more piece. The resolutions you passed for Judge Orozco, has that been taken into account here, Tim?
No, as mentioned yesterday, some of the later, I'll continue to update salaries and benefits and stuff, and so, that's one thing that as the next month goes on, I'll continue to do that, and so that will be factored in here shortly after budget workshops.
When will our actual hearings be?
First week of December. I think it's December 1st through 5th,
So we have these workshops, then we'll have a lull as everything gets juggled together, and then we'll have the actual hearings.
correct. And then there's on November 15th or so, there's a revenue hearing as well.
That's all right. I don't need to know the details right now. Thanks.
Mid-November, there's a revenue hearing. This is the small Franklin County vehicle pool that was created a couple, 2 or 3 years ago now, probably 2 years ago. There's a couple of cars that are, that county staff can check out to take to conferences and whatnot. And then there's also, it also includes, I think it covers like the prosecutor vehicle. There's an elections vehicle. There's a few vehicles that are part of it, but right now we've got $28,000 that I'm estimating that we'll have in the fund at the beginning of the year. And then just various collections. Really, this is probably pretty high, but just based on previous activity, but just kind of giving us a cushion. And then estimated costs that we'll have for it, which, once again are high, but just kind of just making sure that we budget enough more than anything. Thank you. Let one. Barney did a bad deed.
Would it be classified as silent but deadly?
Yes. This is the final one on this list is the security, the courthouse security. And the big change on that is adding $240,000 for the security services out there. And there was no budget previously. There was a transfer that was done mid-year this year to add funds there. I think it was roughly $200,000. And just based on current spending, I think we'll need right around $240,000 for the year for that. That's the big change in that.
So a question on that. The previous staffing was out of corrections for that facility. When we stood up the Department of Corrections and we hired private security for the guard shack, those employees that were previously in the guard shack went back to to make the corrections fully staffed.
Correct.
And so is this because trying to think of how to ask this question, was there a $240,000 surplus in corrections because it wasn't fully staffed for that first half of the year? I guess I'm not sure exactly how to ask the question, but
I mean, that was paid for out of a different department. It was paid for out of the corrections department, those staff. Those staff just worked in the security building, but they were paid for out of corrections, out of their salaries and benefits line. So this is a new cost, and I mean, I guess one of the things the board can look at is, if they had two people dedicated to security before, I guess the question could be asked, do they need those people now, since they were doing previous functions before?
that's what I'm trying to figure out, how to articulate the question that I'm trying to ask. Will corrections return a portion of funds out of salaries and benefits?
There is nothing being returned at this point. It would have to be a reduction by the board. They're currently, their budget includes full staffing compared to last year, including the people that were in the guard check before.
And so did they increase staffing within corrections?
So here's kind of what happened is that the staffing, they get their shifts back. So Keelan has, it was 2 people per, at every given time, times I think 7 people ultimately participated that would actually go out to the guard shack. Now he can just utilize all those shifts for being in the jail.
Yeah.
So there is a savings there, and
That's what I know there is. I'm just trying to figure out how to ask that question.
Yeah, but I think that what Tim said is accurate also, in that if it got to a position where we felt like that there was just we had too many people just hanging around, we could knock that back. But I don't think that that's the case. When I talked with Harmon, it's kind of a little bit similar to the discussion that we had about with the sheriff's office and the support staff. Commander Harmon, or Chief Harmon, had made it pretty clear that they needed that. And I think that they're going to need truly with this kind of goes hand in hand with something like what Larry was talking about. The amount of people on staff that you have to have on hand per prisoner, you know what I mean, per inmate. And so I think it's just a better utilization of his resources is what's going on. It is an additional cost to us, but here's what you'd look at. So $240,000. So then you would have to do the math on what 2 full-time positions with benefits in that union would make. And I think it's pretty easy to see that would probably surpass the 240,000 mark.
Yeah, I've done the math on that. That's why I was trying to figure out how to ask that question. Thanks.
I will say too, I think historically, I'm not sure where they're at right now, but historically they have vacancies as well. And so they're typically not utilizing all of their salaries and benefits budget, just not able to get people on board to be fully staffed all the time, I think. That's the last of those on that list there.
This being my first year, and I went through and I watched the budget workshops from last year, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Tim Anderson for not only helping to put this together, but the truth of the matter is that the entire county wouldn't be here in this workshop today without Tim Anderson. So I just want you gentlemen to be aware of that and to know that he's a credit to Franklin County, that one of the reasons that you saw Tim doing the majority of the talking there, even though I'd chime in every once in a while, is that he was good enough to come and, hold my hand through this first year. And so we're lucky to have you, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, we are, Mr. Anderson. So, Mr. McGarry?
Okay. I'm thankful for Tim, too. Helps me keep me straight a lot of times. So on coroner's revenue, what we basically have is autopsy reimbursements from the state. That's 40% of autopsies that we submit. We submit that twice a year. And then they reimburse us 40% of that, so that's our revenue on that. This year for revenue, I estimated it at 68,000. I have a budget of 72,000, but just to be conservative, I put it at 68,000. So that's a revenue of 27,200 or 100 there. That's what it comes out to be there. Salaries are already set there. Couple of changes on the operating budgets. Here's operating supplies. I've increased that a little bit there, a couple of thousand due to basically the new building, just the operations of that. With the biggest expense there will be the bio waste that we have to have taken care of. The state does set a standard on that, what companies can charge. So we have that. Miscellaneous contractual services. What that is that's a service contract for the blood analyzer machine that I have. On Friday, I did get approved for a grant. So if it's okay, I would like to withdraw that. The grant approval is for $9,800. My thought is I would come back to you guys probably in September of next year, have you fund that grant, and then it comes back, totally 100% reimbursed back to you guys, back to the county. So.
And that's a grant for the blood analyzer machine.
It's a service agreement, yeah. It's a finicky machine, and 2 or 3 times a year they come by, service it and stuff, and it has been at the $8,000 fund, but this year it went up to $9,800. I was checking with other counties to see if that's what they're doing too, and I said, yeah, we kind of got us over a barrel on that because of the maintenance. So, but I do have a grant for that. I got approved with that on Friday, so that would be covered. And so I would suggest, if it's okay, to just withdraw that $8,000 there, and then in September come to you again and then you guys fund that and then get reimbursed 100% back. So
We can discuss afterwards the mechanics of it, but I think what we'd want to do if the board wants to go that route is actually put in a revenue line, and then if the cost is going to be $9,800, we'll want to show the full $9,800 as a cost, and then a revenue.
okay, I'll let you direct me how to do all that. The other one was indigent cremations. We've seen an increase in that. Just the homeless. Had one family even just abandon their brother. So I've put that so we can pay the funeral homes $400 for a cremation service, is what that has been. We were at $3,000, bumped it up to $8,000. That way we can pay them. We were paying them $500. And then the other would be the $228 on travel. That's with our accreditation is due next year, and so they will have to come out on site, and so that will cost a little bit more for travel. And then also with the autopsies, I'd asked for an increase of $3,700 on that. I would like to rescind that and just stay with the $72,000 that I have. If I do need it, I would come to you and ask you to, fund the extra autopsies that I may need. But by that point, you'll have already got reimbursed from the state that 40%, so that would help offset some of that. So that's kind of where I'm at. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
How many homeless cremations are you doing a year?
This year I'm almost at the 8. I've got 6 or 7 right now. Yeah,
And they're 400 apiece?
400 apiece. Funeral homes charge, on average, it's over 2,000 to pay it, and they've agreed to do it for 4
Yeah,
or 5. So I think that's pretty generous of them.
I do too. That's
know,
was my
that's,
next question, so.
Yeah. So.
Question for you, having the new facility, there's the potential of having some revenue from somebody else having access to that. Are you advanced in that, or not quite there
We've
yet?
got the MOU sent out with them, and the agreement would be the $2,000 a month. Because we haven't signed it or anything, I didn't put it on here. I hadn't talked to Tim about it, how that would come in, but that's what that would be. Yeah.
And that will cover all of our expenses plus?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The largest expense in that building is going to be the biohazard disposal.
And
I have
was-
that it's about $210 a month. That's 3 times a month having the company come by, pick up bio waste, which is clothing, soiled linens or something like that we have.
So,
They don't make an incinerator that's
Not that
on-site?
we can do. There again, it's government regulated that they say they have to do it themselves. It has to be handled by a certain thing and regulations of it. So, yeah.
so looking here, it looks like that adopted 25 budgets, 391, and preliminary for 26. So can you give us a brief on the difference in what those two are? I'm guessing that's you, Tim.
I think salary, is
It would
probably
be probably, yeah, it should be mostly salaries and benefits. That's only 6 there. Oh,
So I can say, I think mine came to 6,000 with that 3,700 taken off, so it's,
So it looks like we're just short of 40,000, or just over 40,000.
Actually, this number here, you really want to look at, because this line only has expenditures in it. This number here has revenues and expenditures, and so
So this
really
is
you
the
want to
better one to
compare
look at.
these two.
So where's the 25 versus 26?
He has 442 in 2025, 432
So a
starting.
reduction of 10,000 for 2026.
Correct.
Got it. That,
And then requests of 2878.
got it. So a net less of roughly 5,000,
Correct.
just over 5,000. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much.
All righty, thank you.
all right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Real
Ms.
quick.
Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. McGarry and Mr. Anderson. I was wondering, we had mentioned a long time ago, and I don't know if this is still a thing, but if there is any potential to get some revenue based on rent, we probably need to add a line item for that. And so, and I didn't know if that was included in your budget or not, but there was some outfit that was going to come and pay you rent. And I can't remember what exactly it was.
Yeah, that's
what we were just talking about.
That's what Commissioner
That's the
Bauman
exact same
mentioned
thing.
about.
And okay, is
And,
that in there?
It is not. I thought once we get the MOU done, I would get with Tim and put that in there. So because I will need to send invoices out to them monthly, and so it'll so we have the object codes and everything when it comes back in, how to go that back in. Yeah. Yeah. So just a note on that, we are pretty much completed with the building. We're going to have an open house on the 29th. You guys are all invited to come over or come over other times and see it. So appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Does anybody need a break?
Keep going.
All right, Mr. Waters. Welcome. Good to see you.
Good morning. Sorry, my voice is not back yet. I coached 6 softball games this weekend, and we had a lot of base runners, so I was yelling and screaming a lot.
Did you win?
We won quite a few, but we lost a few too, so hence the screaming. All right, so how do you guys want to run through this? Sorry, I didn't get here early enough to see what the process was this year.
Just big changes and
Okay.
any increase to your budget because we're
Yeah.
really watching the pennies these days.
Absolutely. So, if we break it down, there's an MOA with WSU annually. That MOA has a slight increase this year. Last year, we were at 113,376, and this year, we're asking for $115,680. And that's to basically the rates with the Washington State Association of Counties that they've drawn up for counties of this size, call for that slight increase. We do have an overall probably, I think, decrease of a couple $100 this year because our ER&R rates for our vehicle rentals have gone down. So I think our net ask is probably down a couple $100. Tim can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
222 down.
222, so, yeah. So overall, we're a
I
little
like
bit-
that.
Yeah, right. I didn't think you'd have a problem with that. And I think this year, if we look at our expenditures to date, we're well on track with all of our lines. We have a couple lines that we don't anticipate using this year, so I'd anticipate maybe about $1,000 back to the county, so.
Liking you more the more you talk.
Yeah, we try to be real fiscally responsible, and I think our faculty in the office have been pretty successful with grants, so when we can, we try to cover expenses that make sense under those grants, and so if we can continue to be successful with grants, that should continue, and I think, one thing I would note that the grant environment's quite a bit tighter than it used to be, so I would anticipate that we might be down on grants a little bit this coming year, just because the federal calls for grants were delayed, and then some of those programs have been reduced pretty significantly. So I'd anticipate our grant funding overall might be down a little bit going into the next year. Hopefully that'll pick up again, but I think that would be my anticipation. But I don't, no significant changes to the budget. I mean, we've got the same faculty and staff that we've had for a few years there. And really do appreciate the building that we're in has been great. So we've been in there a little over a year. And everybody's happy, a little bit happier to come to work in that nice new building, so we appreciate that.
Well, I'm just thankful for that, and I'm also thankful that our 4-H and FFAers are coming to that building too.
They are, yep, they are, yep. And our enrollment numbers in 4-H have been real consistent. I think we're up a little bit, and we've been working on some, different programming, but our numbers are still strong there, so I think that's a good metric to look at.
So I just got one question about your new building. Do you have your displays of all that work you did? Have you got them out
Not yet. We don't have any displays out yet. We've been really slow, so I'm a pack rat a little bit, and I don't throw anything away. And Josefina is very neat and tidy, and so I've been trying not to. She's been really controlling the neatness and tidiness of the building well.
So you gotta find a
If I had my way,
to
we would-
display all those boards of his work.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are amazing.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't seen them, Dr. Waters done an amazing job of collecting and cataloging all of the pests and bugs and
Yep.
and stuff, and it was remarkable. I don't know. He spent an hour with me, and I felt like I needed to be there for 6 more.
Yeah, it's an insect collection of all the things that appear around here for the most part. So
It's remarkable. I've been here a long time, and there's a lot of stuff that I've never seen or didn't know existed.
we may be able to display those. Like I said, Josefina does a good job of helping us keep it looking very tidy and professional.
I know that, I don't know how often you do it, but I know you've done tours, and a private school came and did the tour. They were very appreciative, and so thank you for
Yeah,
for
no problem. And
your
we go out
outreach
and
to
do
the
that stuff
community.
on site quite a bit too. So, yeah, we use those for educational purposes as much as possible.
So Tom, Tim, excuse me.
Yeah.
When do you guys do anything with salmon?
We
With the migration of salmon up
we
and down
don't.
the river?
No, we don't. We don't do anything
Because
directly with that.
there's an alarming post out here that got some coho from the river today when cutting them up, found this weird thing in them, in the body, and it's white. It's some parasite.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
in the
we
coho.
don't.
And I
Yeah,
was just wondering if you knew anything about that.
I don't. I could ask around. We actually have a salmon specialist on campus
Okay.
that does a bunch of stuff with salmon and trout and stuff like that. So we could.
I'll send this
Yeah,
to
send
you.
it to me, and
You
I could forward it to him and see what he has to say about it.
Okay.
That's one thing I think I know we're doing a budget hearing, so I'm just, there's a microphone in front of me and I'm a scientist and it's hard to shut me up. But one of the things that we don't talk about a lot is all the resources we have at WSU. And I think we probably can do a better job of articulating to you guys what we bring from the other areas. And, we were talking about that amongst ourselves yesterday when I was at a meeting about how we all kind of cross over. And like I said, we have a ton of resources around the state. So if you guys ever have a question about anything related to agriculture or science, please don't be afraid to ask, and we can try to get the right person lined up to help with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Danson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Waters, for coming in. My question is, I know that like a year or two ago, the Wazoo was into micro-credentialing. Is that still part of the?
Micro-credentialing, so
Yeah, I didn't even know
define
what
that
it
for
was.
me.
Yeah, well, thank you, because I didn't even know myself what it was, so that answered my question.
Yeah, it seems like tiny
Alright.
credentials. I don't
Yeah.
know why you'd want tiny credentials, but
Yeah, it was basically being able to, I think, I don't want to take words out of the
Yeah.
university's mouth,
Yeah.
was to like provide smaller, learning scenarios to where they would build skills to be able to then be more, like go out and find a job. easier.
Yeah. We do some things like that. Like we offer online master's programs and stuff
Okay.
like that. Which actually, I have a new student that's doing a master's in my lab, and so we do some kind of abbreviated program. So like a traditional master's program, you go to campus and you spend a couple years. And with these things, they can do an online degree. So this particular person works for an agrochemical company
Okay.
and wants to get a better understanding of agronomy and crop production because their background is in finance. So they'll be doing a study in my lab while still working in their current role. And so we offer some programs like that. We don't have a lot of certificate programs. We try to that's not generally the mission of WSU, right? We try to let the community colleges cover more of that.
Yeah.
But I think, anyways, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking.
That's all right.
So, but I think we do better in that, and we like to have the community colleges kind of specialize in those things more so. But we do offer some of those, programs that are a little bit more truncated or a little more specialized, I guess. And with those MS and ag programs, they really are targeted to people that have already gone out and found a job, and now they want a little bit more specialization or skill set or something like that. So we say, okay, if you want to do that degree, we can get you that degree. This is how we're going to guide you. And it actually, in a lot of ways, I like it better than a traditional master's degree because people that already have employment know what they really want to learn.
Right.
And it's easier to learn when you have kind of a context for it and a drive. But
Sense. The only other thing is the board had asked me to express our desire to pass along to the athletic department that we expect Wazoo to come in either first or second place in the Pac-2 this year.
yeah, I think we can pull that off. Yeah.
Thank
All
you so
righty,
much.
thank you, Mr. Waters.
Yep. Thanks for your time.
Next, we got facilities, and I see Miss Wagner is here. Oh, you're not talking today, though.
Just to keep me in line, probably.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah. I'm probably not as eloquent as Mr. Waters was, but I'm going to do my best here.
You're doing just fine.
First off, we are asking for some position changes for the Assistant Facilities Director. That is driven by the L&I schedule in 27. That position will need to be at $91,052. We're asking for a 19.2, which would bring that to $87,943 for next year. And then the step increase the year following would get us in line with where we need to be for that. along with that would be bringing the director position up to a 21, step 1. And that brings both of those also in line with the other directors and assistants in the, across the county.
I don't think the 85 is correct because it was my position that we were looking at increasing. No,
As far as,
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't want to talk
Me
about,
personally.
I don't want to talk about you leaving.
Yes.
That's a sore subject. But, some of this stuff has, I mean, there'll be adjustments that, I mean, we can do new forms for those, whatever. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of salaries and benefits that I need to, that I'll be continuing to update as time progresses. So, I mean, we can reevaluate the need to change this. At the same time, this is just a budget as well. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact.
Okay.
All right.
So we have the 3,200 line, 101, 200, 3,200. There's been discussion about moving facilities vehicles into the ER&R. So I'm not sure if that's still a thing that's happening or not. If that does happen, we would be combining the fuel line and I think it's 4801, the vehicle repair line. We'd become,
Yeah, Mr. Danzo would like to
Well,
respond.
that came from Jennifer Wagner, saying that she didn't know that that you were ready or wanting to do that yet. Have you had a conversation with Mr. Erdman about that, or we might be able to answer that question right now?
We were asked to give information to Public Works, and then we were asked to give information to Genesis and then also to Teresa, which we've done. We're just kind of waiting. The department would be waiting on a decision made from the board or from.
Great. So this is one of the areas where, in a nutshell, I'm going to just get into it a little bit. I think it'll help the conversation. So, and I think that this is accurate too. Public Works wants to continue with their own ER&R operation completely. They've got great personnel in-house that can do that. But then on the rest of the county's vehicles, we're looking at vendors like Enterprise and like some of these other outfits out there that come in, and that goes back to what I was saying about it. They have incredible buying power. They get the rebates. Right now, I think the one that stands out is that Dodge has a $7,500, money back rebate. So you go in, you get the $7,500 off the top, and then again, usually what kills you with government motor pool and fleets is that you don't ever have, just like your regular cars, is you lose equity the minute you drive it off the lot, right? Well, because of their buying power combined with the fact that we're renewing them more frequently, you're not in a negative equity position. And so what we're trying to figure out with facilities is whether to keep them in the public works portion of ER&R that is working phenomenally well with bigger equipment and their own in-house staff, or whether to go to more of like an outside vendor when we were talking about what really would be considered, it'd be a little bit different in my opinion. I would consider that the motor pool. I think you'd have the equipment replacement and rental rates, and then like the motor pool, and we're trying to figure out, and I think the conversations with Craig and Jennifer, and now with Michael, are going to be, where does that best fit? In my opinion, it's going to best fit with the motor pool. Because you're not talking about backhoes and cats
No,
and,
just
stuff like that.
pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And we're not currently, our vehicles are not currently in the ER&R. We run them all in-house, so. So there was those two lines along, if we just move down the line here, 3599, is it 5102, I think we're requesting, is that correct? Some just equipment items, transfer pumps, some of the larger batteries for battery equipment, electric mower, electric backpack blowers. We already have some electric equipment. The larger batteries are more expensive, but they do provide quite a bit more power and runtime. So that's why those are in there. And then if we move down the line, the 410099, we have 22,439 in there for continuing on with the Clean Building Act reporting, finishing up the auditing and those things. Travel training we have is at $254. We're adding, I think, in addition to, for $1,934. That's bloodborne pathogen training, pesticide license renewals, and then also a few employees need to get their pesticide licenses, and so do the classes for those and the testing. Moving down to utilities for the 1310 building, we're requesting an additional $2,000. That's just for the addition of the new building out back there. And then repair and maintenance for corrections. I don't know if there's some additional conversation that needed to happen with this. Tim, we had kind of gone back and forth. Yeah.
I remember the conversation, but I'd have to refresh myself on it. I know.
Yeah, so we're trying to reduce, we'd like to reduce it 10,000. We're not doing near the amount of work in there that we have in the past, and they're covering most of their bills.
I think ultimately you just wouldn't show a revenue in your side. It would be it'd be a reduction of your expenses because they're showing it on their side.
Okay.
But we can work out
we can talk later.
The dollar amounts or whatever.
For the 4846 line, this is the Justice Center. We're asking for an additional $2,250, just for additional costs or or costs in contract maintenance and yeah. So we have our janitorial RFP is up in January or end of this year. So I anticipate there will be some cost increase for that, and that would be the same across. Oh, never mind.
Well, it looks like you've already spent almost 78,000 so far this year. And you spent 74 in 2023 as well.
So yeah, we did do a LED retrofit that kind of crossed both of those. Moving down to the 1310 building, 4860. We're asking for an additional 4,000 for a fence in the back lot there between the school and the 1310 building. There's no fence at all there. There's some parking stops, but I anticipate that, well, we have had problems with parking in between the two lots. And I think that moves us down to, the 4899. I skipped right over that one.
Because it's so big. Is that it?
Yeah, so 4899, I think if Tim can pull up the projects. So there's all sorts of projects in here, and I think they're listed.
By priority?
What's that?
By priority?
Yeah. I don't know if there's any questions about any of that.
Would you speak to that fence that you just described a little bit?
Between 1310 and the school there?
So you're talking on the west side of 1310?
Correct. The backside from, pretty much from the new morgue over to, I can't remember which street that is right now, but it might be Marie Street.
So just behind the morgue or all the way?
All the way, that whole parking lot.
The full distance?
Yep.
And so the concern there or the challenge you're facing there is what?
During school, like during pickup time, and there's a lot of traffic in and out, and so there's problems between there. You can just drive right through there.
They've crossed the line
Yeah.
in parking on our side when there's no fence there at all. And we've had to take the fence down when we did the morgue. We actually produced that. And then there's also a smaller fence that would just continue, it would continue on with that.
So you just do the 4-foot fence across.
Correct.
So Tim, is that something we could use that ARPA money for, since it's a continuation of that project?
Quite possibly.
And what's the budget on that?
It was about $4,000.
I think for the amount that's already been spent in the courthouse expansion fund, though, I think that alone will potentially use up all of the ARPA funds that we have. I'm not positive on that, but I think there's at least a couple $100,000 that's been spent out of that fund, and so I think that may use up everything that we have.
Any other questions?
No, the only, next up, I would just say that, I believe if we could take Bo now, or you wanting to do now? Yeah, if we could take Bo now, that'd be great.
One last question on item number 1. It was just up there on the screen. What's the need there?
The gate openers, is that the one? So those are 20-something years old, however, we've had problems with them every year in the winter in the last several years, needing to be reset, difficult to find parts for. And so they're just getting to the end of their life.
So it wouldn't be changing any of the fencing, just the openers themselves?
I believe it would just be the openers, yeah. The fencing should be fine.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. So if I may ask, I'd like to take a couple-minute break.
I guess if you say so.
Yeah, I need to. Too much coffee. We are back from our break, and we will continue with the workshop. And next is Bo from IS. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you doing?
Morning.
We're going to know here shortly.
Should we start with EC, or would you like to start with IS? I think the real question lies within EC, but let's go IS. I did a little PowerPoint presentation here. I feel like this is a good time of year to just showcase what we do for the county. Our four main goals for IS is to secure the network while minimizing impact on users and ensuring access to information services and resources. Our second goal is to provide timely, accurate support to users who experience technical issues or require assistance with information services. Our third goal is implementing training to enhance computer literacy and promote effective utilization of the services. And our fourth goal is to establish clear service level agreements and performance metrics to measure and improve customer satisfaction. As you probably already know, the information services team is comprised of 12 dedicated professionals, and they offer support to over 350 users from more than 20 different departments. This year, as part of the capital, we'll be presenting some of the capital requests that we have requested grant funding from the cybersecurity program that is from FEMA and managed from the military. We did this last year with great success. I do not have confirmation if these grants are approved for this year. They were hoping to get that to us mid-month or late this month, so know that. We do have several capital requests that we'll go through. These are ranked. I'm not sure if you can read that. I apologize if you can't, but we'll get to it in gravity also. So this is ranked by priority. So the first project is to finish the phone system upgrade. This would be the second phase of 2. We have a camera security project. This would be focused on the east lawn, the steps, and areas around the steps in the rotunda, based on some of the incidents this year.
And one question on the camera security is, how do we get that removed?
We will look for board action to direct us.
That camera and the camera on the back wall is the two that are running continuously, correct?
The dome camera above you and the one behind me is the one that's running continuously, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to propose an action on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. To continue, I did mention that we have 3 different grant projects that we've requested. The first one is a much-needed IS server that continues the growth in the security for the hardware that I believe most of you have been in our server room and you've seen. The second request is for Public Works. Their server is getting up there in the 8-year-old range, which is beyond its useful life. The third grant request we'd be coming at for funding, we'd have to fund these projects and then seek reimbursement. So the third project is to replace 6 network switches around the courthouse. Beyond that, this starts becoming more of a wish list, and I do know that we are under very tight constraints here. I do have some staff that's using furniture that's over 40 years old, so I will make the ask and wait for your guys' direction on that. So we're looking for furniture replacement for 5 of our employees. One for the systems administrator position that you guys recently approved, and the other 4 would be for the bullpen that 4 of our staff members use. Beyond that, we've got a conference room request build out for planning and building, and I'm sorry I did not update my slide to include the economic development in there. Beyond that, this is wish list stuff. I'm fully prepared for you guys to say we can only get this far and the rest of these, are below the line. But we put these on here anyways, just because as the priority shifts from year to year, it's good to have these on here nonetheless. So countywide performance evaluation software, We were looking to remodel our network room that's on the second floor in the public safety building. And lastly, just for good redundant internet backbones, we were looking to get a redundant internet service provider. So what you guys really wanted to get to today. Through my working with Tim and how to fund emergency communications, that does have to go through information services, and the process for that is still kind of new to me, but it has to be funded through current expense, if I'm not mistaken. And so the way to do that is we have to transfer those funds into IS, and then they're transferred to emergency communications after that. So the $1.3 million ask that you guys are well aware of, I broke that down for you a little bit in that this year, before we get into next year's budget, we will be making a payment to BCS for $543,000. That would be for the first payment for the microwave upgrade project. In early 2026, we will be making the second payment and last payment for the microwave upgrade. That is expected to be $425,000. Beyond that, you're well aware of the radio upgrade payment. That is probably due around July, and that is $824,000. The last portion of that transfer is $200,000. This would be, in all likelihood, a one-time transfer into EC because BCS will bill emergency communications, and then we will bill that back to the agencies, being the sheriffs, the corrections, the public works, and that would just be one-time funding. On that note, I was talking to Tim before we got started here. I believe we can actually reduce that $200,000 down to $85,000. So we would need to make those changes in gravity if you would, Tim. So, Teresa, do you mind transferring it back over to Tim? So that was a mouthful. So I'm sure at this point you want to get into IS and look at our requests there. So you can see we've got 1.3 million for the emergency transfer out. I believe it's safe to say we could reduce that by 115,000.
And right now, it's a total of 1.4 because there was 100,000 in the previous year, and then 1.3 requests, so 1.4 when you add those together, which matches the 1.4 in the 139. So the 1.3 though can go down to.
I think the 1.3 could go down by $115,000.
$115,000.
I'm not going to try to do math on camera.
Yeah.
Thank you. In our revenues, we have accounted for the cybersecurity grants. Again, I will remind you, we have not received confirmation if those are approved or not approved. So if they are not approved, there would not be the revenue on those two line items for the cybersecurity grant. That's a portion where it's partially funded by Fed and partially, majority funded by the Fed and partially funded by the state. At this point, I think we'll just go down to 3,100. Our 3,100 line, like several departments before me have already indicated, office supplies costs are going up. I've requested a $200 increase to that. And a new line is 3,131 on there. Yep. This is the line that we've requested with the assistance of accounting to isolate the thumb drives that we need for records request. We want to track the spending for those specifically, so I've asked for us to create a different line item for those, and then big shot in the dark. $500 is about what we spent year to date. So we figured that was a good spot to start off with funding that line. If we go down to 3,500, that's a little confusing for us. We used to call it 3599. We're changing it to a different line number. We've gone from every year we started at 0 and we had to ask for the PC replacements, the computer replacements, the monitor replacements. We are asking for an increase of 18,254 on there. Yeah, you've got that broken down. So we have kind of a certain dollar amount we associate to each of these, and then we look at inventory when things are going to expire, their useful life, and then we ask only what we need for that next year. So this is always a moving target year to year. If we go down to GIS mapping, GIS mapping, our 4120 has increased. We've asked for an increase of $13,000, which is a significant increase to this line, and that's due to the amount of users that are using the Bluebeam software, the ArcGIS software, the mapping softwares. There's more people. There's more. The licenses are costing more. We've got planning and building. They have more people joining this program right now as they go to build out the customer portal for the SmartGov webpage. So there's increased cost in here. I do hope that next year we'll actually try to shift all of those costs to our 4816 line, which would be more appropriate. In here, it's just broken out for GIS, so maybe we can have discussions on where that really should lie. As you heard from John Rosenau, if we go down the cell phone reimbursements, we've reduced that. We're getting rid of that line. We're not going to reimburse anymore. We're doing county issued devices, so we're getting iPhones or whatnot. It's cheaper for us to do that. It's more reliable. The software we had to try to keep work phones and personal stuff, it just wasn't working. John illustrated that really well yesterday. If we go down to 4816, this is our heavy hitter. This is our software repair and maintenance line. This is all of our contracts of software maintenance year over year. This is where I have budgeted for, I know it came up yesterday, for SmartForce. It is included into this budget. I was unclear from the commissioner meeting previous myself, so I included it in here just to make sure it was accounted somewhere. Typically, this line's going to increase 5 to 7% year over year. We get budgetary quotes from our people every year. We anticipate increases, and we try to keep this down as much as possible. But most of these people want to give you 30-day quotes, 60-day quotes. It's pretty hard to ask for a 12-month quote and have that stick. So this one we do have contingencies built in there to try to keep that so that I don't have to come back and ask you guys for extra money every time a contract comes back after a substantial hike. The only other thing we should really address in the budget request is the capital request. And I did gloss over those really quickly a few minutes ago. I don't know if you guys have any questions on those specifically. Any feedback?
Questions?
So I was just writing myself a note here. Can we advertise that 40-year-old furniture as antiques and get anything for it?
It's if it doesn't fall to debris on taking it outside. Yeah.
Just a comment, I think that we should move to the point where that all software within the county, irregardless of department, should go through IS. You guys manage it irregardless of what department that it's within. And so I think that it should be within your department, and you're more capable of operating, handling, and contracting for it. And I think that would be an efficiency that we should move towards.
And with my years of service here, I can tell you that the vast majority of it does come through IS.
Mr. Danzel.
One of the big things moving forward, it's always going to be a part of it, is subscription fees. And so I think that Bo is accurate. I think that we should have that in his budget. But I also think that it's worthwhile to just keep in mind, like, that we need to go through and see if we really need all those, just to be blunt about it.
Evaluate it.
Yeah, we need to reevaluate it on an ongoing, regular basis, because that's a budget killer. The subscription, and with the automatic escalator clauses where you're paying so much and just gobbled up in subscription fees. And the other thing that I'm going to say is this is an unpopular position. But I think it'll give you a better idea where your budget is. But I prefer more budget amendments and not less. And the reason is you'll have a better grasp on what you're actually spending and the timing of when the spending is being done. And it'll allow you to measure, like your first half taxes and before the state fiscal year begins, what your cash position is versus after you've had the ability to receive those funds. And so it's nobody likes it because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of timing and planning. You got to advertise for it. But I do think that we're getting to a point that with at least being the new guy starting here, that I don't think we don't need to be afraid of budget amendments. I think that's been an issue in the past where I've heard a couple times now, and I agree with, because it's a pain in the rear end to come in and to have to ask for more money. But if you're really wanting to have a good grasp on the budget and understand where every nickel and dime goes, then I don't think that a budget amendment is a four-letter word. I think it's an opportunity for us to amend the budget like is called for in the Washington, in the RCWs. And so, anyway, I just want to have the board keep that in mind, that with Bo's particular budget, yes, I would agree with him. I think it would be a nightmare to try to have to go through and change all that. But for the most part, and again, this is not popular with probably anybody in the county, but what a budget amendment does allow you to do is it allows you to budget short and try to hold to a conservative position instead of just spend. We don't want to have you come in here because it's too much of a pain process-wise. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
And I would just also like to add to that our department, as we go through year to year, we work with the departments to say, is this still the solution that's best for you? Is this solution working for you? Is there other ones you want to use a demo to see? Is this still where we want to be, or is there a better solution out there? And so it's nice little checks and balances. So any other questions on IS? Otherwise, we'll shift over to EC.
Go ahead, let's shift over to EC.
So with EC, as we've already discussed, Michael and I were able to go through there and further dial in expenses that are going to be coming in as the user fees. It could possibly be scaled back even further, but that remains to be seen. When all of the radios start getting issued out next year, it's probably not going to be January 1. I believe yesterday we indicated it's probably going to be closer to July. So monthly fees, you're not going to get monthly fees in January, February. But as people start coming onto the new system, you will start getting those user fees. So us dialing that back from 200,000 to 85,000 is more realistic. And like I said, BCS is going to bill IS, and we're going to send the invoices out to the other departments, which would fund this moving forward year to year as we continue on the system. So part of the pieces I was referring to earlier is we have a payment coming up here before the end of the year for the microwave system. And that's going to reduce the fund that is in the EC budget. And so we are kind of netting that out with the increase so that we can pay the next payment for the microwave and pay the radio. Outside of the user fees, we're not asking for any changes to EC. The hope is that next year we'll just ask for the year 2 radio payment and just continue that process moving forward. And we'll just use this as an operating expenses for break fix until BCS actually takes that over, at which point this fund can shrink even further.
My question is, with this cutting edge technology just right outside the door, what happens if it becomes readily available and we're in this to this point? Are we able to step away and get to this new technology using low hanging satellites where we won't have any dead spots?
When will we be able to do that? I don't know. I believe that technology is quickly coming to a government level. I know several people have indicated they have Starlink already.
Yep.
And that's great. Unfortunately, I haven't experienced that myself yet because I live within the city. I think we're vested right now, and we're doing a cost sharing with BCS. And I know that is kind of a hard thing to really talk about. We're splitting the cost up. You've heard the Big Five, so Franklin County is part of the Big Five. So we're cost sharing the expenses. I think if we went this alone, we'd be looking, if we did the radio project ourselves this last year, we would have been looking somewhere around $27 to $32 million. Going the route that we're going right now, just looking at the radio fees, we're looking at $8 million over 10 years. So in my narrow opinion, it seems like it's cheaper for us to stay with our partners right now. Is there additional cost on top of that that I don't see? Yeah, there could be. That's a little bit outside my wheelhouse right now. I think Starlink really could be a solution in the future. I don't think we're quite there yet. Any other questions?
Any questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
That moves us down to prosecutor office. Mr. Briggs, I believe Mr. Sant might be on the phone, or will he be on the phone?
Might need to dial him in. He's having problems calling into the number. He's getting an error message. So
Well, I think you're probably pretty capable of just taking this, steering this ship down the.
well, I appreciate that. Appreciate that confidence in my ability to talk about budget stuff. You know, it's. Hey, Sean, it's Jeff. We're in the budget workshop right now. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. So Sean's in the meeting now.
Might just put the mic down there, that other mic down by the phone.
Okay. There it is.
I cannot hear the commissioners very well, though.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you better, thank you.
You might push it down even closer. We're having a.
Yeah.
Can you say something again, Sean?
I can hear him now. What was that?
Okay, that's better. Okay, we're just making sure we can hear you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so before I launch into everyone's favorite part, which is all the numbers and everything, I just want to sort of, because we're focusing on our criminal half of our prosecutor's office, with the exception of child support, which we'll get into here in a moment, what our overall objective is for that office. Really, when you're talking about criminal prosecutions, the objective of our office is to foster public trust, that when you call 911, criminals are held accountable and victims' rights are vindicated. If that's not working, you know, that erodes public trust, that, the victims' rights aren't going to be vindicated, the criminals aren't going to be held accountable. And, we want to make sure that we're doing that so we don't have, a situation like you're seeing in some of the larger metropolitan areas where, there's higher rates of crime and seemingly people not being held accountable. So we've identified 3 core pillars designed to maximize our long-term investment, return of investment, and minimize future costs. These are operational resilience and maintenance, strategic technological modernization, and workforce development and retention. So we're starting this with some assumptions that our revenue will not change and salaries and wages will not change. That was at the direction of the auditor's office, just because I know they want to change those numbers for us. So we haven't changed any of those figures from the 2025 numbers. So we're just going to focus on what our proposed changes are in relation to our 2025 budget when I'm discussing budget items. So line item 101,480 and 4,100, we're requesting an increase for our case management software. I know the board was just talking about software in the previous presentation and how we want that centralized in information services. Our current solution that we have is Carpel. I believe that cost is actually funded by the Information Services Department and our office sort of jointly. We split that cost where we spend approximately $4,000 and their office IS spends about $10,000. We want to shift to the e-prosecutor system, which is a $70,000 system. It would be offset by the reduction in the existing system with a net of around, what would that be, $67,000. And the reason why we want to do this, there's several reasons to shift to this system. It will integrate our file sharing with law enforcement agencies. This is really important for our criminal deputies because we oftentimes with our current system don't know when new pieces of discovery like videos and pictures have been uploaded into the system. We have an obligation to share all discovery with the defense, and our limitations of our current software have resulted in, potential, mistrial motions that we're mismanaging our cases, and those sorts of motions can get cases dismissed. So we certainly want to avoid that. This new system would also promote transparency. It allows us to better understand from a managerial perspective how many cases our prosecutors are working on, and what upcoming deadlines they might have, what their calendars look like in terms of where those cases are in our system, how long the cases are taking to resolve for each individual prosecutor. This will help us avoid issues, staffing issues, as well as statute of limitation issues. If we haven't filed on a case, and this system will be better about alerting us when that's required. Also, greater assistance in drafting pleadings. Now, we know the system is better, the system that we want to integrate into the county, because we have folks that have come over from Benton County, and Benton County uses that e-prosecutor system. And there's challenges with our current system in terms of drafting pleadings. I know I personally have struggled where our system will just not, what the system is supposed to do is you tell it what the charge is, what the defendant is, and a little bit of background information about the case, and it is supposed to generate a pleading. In theory, that should be a really simple process, but in practice, it's not commonly for a lot of different cases. There will be problems with the pleadings that will cause us to have to manually manipulate it. And frankly, there's been cases I've worked on when I did criminal prosecutions where I'm thinking it's easier to start from scratch than to use our system. So this will result in increased efficiency if we switch to this new system, allowing our criminal deputies to focus more on the substantive issues in the case rather than, pleading issues. So that's our request for the e-prosecutor system. On line item 101,480, 4102, we are requesting an increase of $2,200. This is for destruction of files. This is a very important thing for our office, as well as we're requesting $2,300 for child support, because we no longer have to retain the files. We should destroy these. Otherwise, when we get public records requests that come in, we have additional files we need to sift through. So it's leading to inefficiencies on the back end with public records requests. So, and I mean, there's no need to maintain these files any longer. We should be destroying them. So that's the basis for those requests. Feel free to stop me at any time if the board has any questions, obviously.
One question I have, besides Benton County, who else is using that e-file?
I know a lot of other counties are. I haven't asked around, but several. And our local law enforcement agencies also are familiar with and utilize that. That's why it would lead to a more streamlined approach, particularly with our discovery.
So those files then would be shared with the other counties too, that you could get information from them?
Correct. So yeah, and there are times when we collaborate with Benton County, so this would greatly assist in that as well. And what did you want to add, Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, one of the reasons for this particular software that led us to kind of adopt the same one that Benton County has, certain configurations have already been done, so that would save some cost on the work of doing a transition. It wouldn't be just a brand new item that would have to be customized. There's certain configuration settings that are already in place, but one of the benefits is the local law enforcement agencies, they currently have a system, Tyler. That way, if there's any need for updating that interface system between our collective Benton and Franklin law enforcement agencies, if both the prosecutor's offices are using the same system, that interface updates would be better streamlined. They would only have to make one update rather than trying to create custom updates and interfaces for others. To the question about how many other counties, there are a few other counties throughout the state, but primarily since we share law enforcement agency files primarily in the Benton and Franklin County regions, it made the most sense to have that program. And from what I've heard nothing but good responses for those that have gone with this system, especially as it incorporates the evidence.com portal, which is the Axon evidence that comes in primarily from body-worn cameras, but also there's a functionality piece with Axon that allows citizens, when they have private security cameras that have captured issues that need to be uploaded or phone videos that were taken by private citizens, there's actually a portal in there that will allow them to simply update and send those videos through the AxonEvidence.com portal. And so it makes it a lot easier for our office to capture all of that electronic discovery, make sure that we're also able to share that with defense and avoid the issues that Jeff had mentioned earlier with discovery.
So
Thank
Jeff,
you.
another question on that is, in 2025 was 44,000, like 213 is what we spent on this, right?
Right.
And so is it an increase then of roughly 15,800, or is that a $70,000 increase?
In
If I
terms,
could address that.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead,
go
Jeff.
go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to add, Mr. Chairman, the initial 70,000 would include the implementation or transition. That is an estimated cost. It could come in less than that. We just want to make sure we were capturing the one-time 26 budget impact. For the years going forward, it would be approximately 35,000 or approximately a $15,000 increase year to year after that.
And
To make sure
That-
that I
okay,
am
go-
clear and
yeah.
understand, I believe, Tim, what you were telling us is this is moved from the year before, and this is the additional ask, so that would be 114,000 total.
Correct.
That's what I was asking.
right, because we still need the money from that line item for other professional services. It's not just for the software service.
They have spent, so far this year, they've spent 78,000 through September on a $44,000 budget. So they're already high this year.
Right, and that was primarily due to the district court contract, not having that deputy in district court, we had to utilize Foltz Rio or Rio Foltz for that. And so I think that added, was it 60,000, Tim?
That sounds right, but
Yeah.
I'd have to
Tim,
double check.
just to clarify that, the $60,000 was added because we did not have a filled position for district court, and that money was set aside for a district court deputy in the form of a contracted district court deputy. So that $60,000 would be reduced from that particular line item, and that would drop it back to 44,000, which is the ongoing year-to-year budget for those professional services. So just for the software increase, it would only be a one-time deal, but there will be a brief overlap. This is likely scheduled to take place in April when our current contract expires. So there'd be a little bit of overlap.
And so the 60,000 that was being transferred out of that was going back into our general services line item, is that right?
I believe the
For staffing.
60,000 got moved, I believe, to the district court line item number.
Okay.
So what I was informed earlier, there was approximately I believe it was $104,000 in that budget line, but that 60,000 was a one-time deal because it was transferred to cover the district court services, but that came out of monies already budgeted. So that was not necessarily an increase to the budget. It was simply where the money was placed for that service, because typically we would pull from professional services for contracted positions rather than directly from the salary line item. Hopefully that's clear. It didn't make an increase. It was just a matter of pulling from where the budgeted money was sent, because we didn't hire a district court deputy yet, so we contracted for those services.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense. Any questions with that?
Questions, commissioners? Okay.
So, yeah, just to summarize that, I mean, our criminal deputies are very enthusiastic about switching over to this new program because of the added efficiencies it would create in our office. So moving on to our professional services, our courier services, this increase of 1440 is actually going to be offset, and this is in line item 101, 480, 4104. We're asking for an increase of 1440, but it's going to be offset by a decrease in item 101, 500, 4104 for, and that's for child support. So we actually needed more courier services for our prosecutor's office and not for child support. The child support line items need to be kept within that office. We can't intermingle or share with them because they are state funded. So in fact, our child support division is fully state funded by grant. We have $492,000 in a state grant for that. So we want to make sure that we are apportioning that correctly. So that's the basis for that change.
Jeff, if I could also add something.
Sure.
When you're ready. Commissioners, one of the areas of increase is because our trials are picking back up. We've had several. We've been catching up slowly over the past approximately year and a half, 2 years, getting caught up with trials. We are in trial pretty much at least averaging now about every other week. Sometimes we have several trials scheduled for the same day, like next week. We have a homicide trial going out, but we also have other trials pending, and so they're going to be stacked in priority. One of the increases to cost is due to the number of trials that are picking up. We're going to trial more frequently, and that's what those courier services are for, is to serve witnesses that have either moved out of the area or where we need assistance from outside the Benton and Franklin County region for serving process, serving subpoenas, and other legal documents outside of our area. I just wanted to make sure it was clear this increase is something that we'll closely monitor over the 2026 year, but we anticipate we'll probably have to make a slight increase in that service as trials continue to increase.
Okay. Doesn't look like we have questions. So moving on to item 101, 480, 4200, we are requesting an investment of $1,600 for phone services. This would be for our elected chief deputies and our senior deputy prosecutors, just so they can better communicate. It looks like the increase would be by 125. In 101, 500, 4200, and that's for the director of child support to be able to communicate as well. Really important. It's also good, I think, from a public records perspective to keep those separate in case we get a request for those records. Then you're not having to, go through your personal phone. If you have any work-related communications, it's always good to separate the two. And so FirstNet charges on average, I think, $50 a month per cell phone. And that would be for 5 attorneys for 12 months. So that's the basis for those requests. In terms of our office software license and law books, this is 101, 480, 4831. We're requesting an increase investment of $3,500 for our software licenses with Thomson Reuters. This is kind of where I live. I spend a lot of my time, just because of the breadth of issues I deal with. I'm constantly on Westlaw doing research, either to discover new things or confirm. And same, this other object, 101, 480, 3128, this request for $3,500 for evidence, court rules, and sentencing law books. Those are the Bibles for the criminal deputies. I mean, you have to have those in court. You don't want to be doing your research on the fly in court or even clicking between tabs. It's great to have a book, kind of an old school method. Tab your book out, and you can just quickly flip to things. It's much quicker than using a computer. And those are great resources for our trial attorneys.
Jeff, if I could add something to this line as well.
Yeah.
Commissioners, one of the things I wanted to share is just a few years ago, we used to maintain multiple duplications of a lot of the textbooks or law books within our office. That transitioned probably about 6 years ago in an effort to save costs. Each year, this software license continues to increase. That's just kind of the nature of the business, is they will have us on a contract. We typically set up a contract approximately 3 years out just to lock in a price that minimizes our increase. But one of the things that we've gradually done over the years is, because of the increase not only in the books, increase in the software, we've tried to reduce the number of books. So we maintain very minimal textbook copies, with the exception of the books that Jeff had mentioned, the evidence book, court rule books. One of our evidence books that is very critical for our office, we only actually updated one copy because it was so expensive. It's $1,500. But with more and more of our attorneys in trials at multiple times, we are going to need to have multiple copies of that book. And that's part of the basis for that increase. That is something we cannot replicate online. It's just the nature of how they do this particular book. It's Teaglin's. It's kind of an annualized combination of the case law, but in specifics to courtroom evidentiary rules. It's often what the judges and attorneys will cite to when making legal arguments for admissibility of certain evidence. Thank you.
Okay, so transitioning now to our request for, and this was a position that we had removed when we did our salary increases earlier in the year, our senior deputy position. And this would be exclusively for our felony matters. We currently have 550 open cases, and we have 5.5 FTEs to handle those because one of our felony prosecutors splits time. Is that in a district court, Sean, or juvenile?
That's with child support.
Oh, and that's right. So this amounts to roughly 100 felony cases per prosecutor that are open, and that's roughly double what the indigent defense guidelines or standards are for defense attorneys. So we're going to have prosecutors in court with twice as much of a workload as the defense attorneys, which I mean could lead to a scenario. I know we have very talented prosecutors, and they work really hard. If you drive down here on Saturday afternoon, you'll see their cars parked out here prepping for the next trial they're doing, and you know I really commend their dedication. But I mean it feels like you're going into a gunfight with a knife if you're that overloaded with work. So I mean it's going to be challenging for them, and that's why we want to restore that position so that we can even out the workloads between the two sides. And we've worked with part of the reason why we have such a backlog is because of COVID, and also working closely with the Office of Public Defense to make sure that we aren't just giving them hundreds and hundreds of cases in a given month, and then attorneys cap out. And we're also trying to be very judicious with the cases we file on, obviously, as well. So we would want to restore that position so that we can lighten the workload and make sure that the service that we're providing to the public is what we intend with our objective. I stated at the beginning that when someone calls 911 and they're a victim of a crime, they get access to justice. In conjunction with that, we're also requesting that our system administrator's salary be raised from up a grade from a 15.7 to a 16.6. And this is because that administrator performs managerial functions. And right now we only have one manager for all the paralegals in our office. One primary manager, who's Termika, who's doing a tremendous job coming in and just, hit the ground running. And it's just, a tremendous asset to us. But we don't want her getting burned out. And we also, our current legal assistants, paralegals, we want to offer a segue for those who are demonstrating strong leadership potential, aptitude, to allow them to sort of step up so that we have a transition for that role. And we're sort of developing in-house talent that in the future could be, the top manager for our office. And so, yeah, right now, all of our support staff are supervised by Miss Lewis, who she's overseeing civil, juvenile, district court, superior court, and child support. So this would, again, assist us in having more of a transition between our frontline staff and our administrator. So we strongly recommend and urge the commissioners to approve this budget proposal for our office and affirm our collective commitment to fiscal responsibility and operational excellence. Thank you.
And Jeff, if I could just add something real quick and close. I think as we've looked at trying to fill our existing positions for 2025, I think if we looked at our 2025 cost savings at the expected end of this calendar year, the end of 2025, I think our budget impact going forward into 26 would be almost a net neutral, even with these increases. The biggest one that would be the new increase would be the one-time fee for the software implementation. But restoring that senior deputy position will be vital to us getting caught up on the out-of-custody screenings. The numbers that Jeff referenced, as far as our annualized, we close to 600 cases were filed in 24. And just to give an idea, this is almost another year's worth of cases on top of it. So not every case that comes to our office gets filed. There's screenings, there's work that is done between the investigators and prosecutors, and that's an important step to make sure that we just don't simply rubber stamp what comes into the office, but that's an additional workload that isn't quite captured. And right now, prosecutors throughout the state are trying to develop ways of capturing the workflows that we typically haven't been able to capture so that we could show a little bit of the parity, because with defense, when you look at the numbers that defense attorneys are assigned, that's based on just a case that's already been screened, it's been worked through, it's been prepped for prosecution, and essentially once the filing date has occurred, that's what creates the case equivalent. there's several cases that do not get captured in the numbers right now, at least with our existing software system, where we're unable to really show a full reflection of the work that is done in a prosecutor's office with warrant reviews and other work that is being done. And we're hoping that restoration of that additional senior DPA position will assist not only in getting caught up with the backlog, but trying to keep up with our increase in cases that we've seen over the past year. So
Right.
thank you, commissioners, for your time. If anybody has any additional questions.
Questions?
No questions.
Good.
All right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, commissioners.
And thank you, Tim. I forgot to, Tamika Lucas and Tim Anderson, I think, were very instrumental in helping us prepare for this. So I just give them both a shout out and appreciate all their help.
Well, you did a great job, Jeff.
Thanks. Well,
Thank you, Tim.
again, this is all based on their work, so. Appreciate it.
We have two, then we're going to grab the prosecutor's budgets real quick.
Okay.
Any questions? I don't think they're very big or anything like that, but we still have got child support and crime victim witness, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Right, and we kind of talked about all.
Yeah.
Total of $1,298 in increases showing up in that, in the child support budget. Yeah, and I think all those were discussed in the previous
Yeah.
segment, and then as far as the crime victim, this is separate, this is a separate fund that has some grants that primarily fund this department.
When the prosecutor's office comes in and they ask for a position and they say for the crime victims coordinator position or witness advocacy, or this is where this is paid out of. So when they're asking for like step increases, I think you've seen it before where there be people that are looking for a step increase. It's paid out of usually typically in this particular case, a grant. So just want to give heads up on that. The other thing I would mention too is, and I think I mentioned this earlier, there are going to be some hidden costs that are going to be a part of the Supreme Court ruling on caseload management when it comes to the Office of Public Defense, that both the current presenters and the following presenters, the court itself, are going to probably have, that I don't know that we could budget for no matter how much of a magic wand or crystal ball we had. So just to remind the commissioners that where there's an increase to that level on Office of Public Defense, that means there's going to be new attorneys that are going to be coming in. Those new attorneys might want to try cases. They might not want to settle. They may want to settle. There might be more court appearances. There's a lot of unknowns right now, so kind of a heads up on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks again, Jeff. Takes us down to Superior Court. Tiffany Rogue, and I see Judge Burrows is here.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome. Huh? It's dented. That's why you love it, right? Redskins, you had it right the first time.
For Superior Court, the adult arena, we don't have a whole lot of requests going into 2026. The increases mainly reflect just the baseline to salaries with attrition. And then into my supplies and services, minimal increases to capture what the Franklin County IS is estimating for 2026 services, and then my contract services to be able to cover my contracts for my interpreters, which cover our dockets. As far as increases to our budget, that's our only request going into 2026.
Okay.
I had some updates to provide you, but I wasn't sure if you wanted me to go through those, given the the timing, we still have juvenile and detention, so I can go through our updates that you'll see in 2026, or we can just focus on our very small request for 2026 budget.
Talk fast, present fast, we'll listen fast.
All right.
Yeah, let's go with it.
So, can you go to the next slide? This chart, another increase is our pro rata share. It did increase by 1% for 2026. Again, the pro rata share between Benton and Franklin is a calculation from the case filings. So based on all the files is how our pro rata share is determined each year. And so it did increase. Really, this chart will be reflective that since before COVID, we're getting back up to where our filings were. There was a dramatic dip because of COVID pandemic, but we are now back up to nearly where we were before the pandemic. So that's what filings do. They just continue to rise. So
And it's consistent, if you will see, it's consistent across the board with respect to 2021 is probably the more reduction in the
Right.
percentage based on the filings and the less filings.
Right,
I suppose civil and criminal cases.
right.
Correct.
The next slide. This also just shows our trial history. After the pandemic, we were not, over here on this side, it shows we had only 77 trials get out for 2021 and only 95 for 2022. Benton County had provided us 2 temporary court commissioners to help with the backlog from the pandemic. In 24, we came and asked for 25 to make the 2 temporary full-time and by county, and you guys approved that request. So you'll see through 23, 24, and 25, our trial stats just continue to go up with the additional judicial officers. Our court commissioners are able to manage the bulk of our dockets, which frees up our judges to preside over trials.
And the court commissioners are still on that pro rata.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, the salaries, yes.
Thank
And
you.
the other thing, Commissioner, if you want to, Benton Franklin County has a judicial needs, which is old, but it's about 12.5 judicial officers. So these 2 commissioners brought us up to the judicial needs to accommodate both courts and their significant increase in case filings, but only to the extent to have additional coverage for more trials. And I think this slide emphasizes the amount of trials that have increased for both Franklin County and Benton County. And as you understand, there's 52 weeks in a year. You can only get out 1 in Franklin County criminal with a jury trial based on the courtroom space, 3 courtrooms, 1 big courtroom, where Benton County has additional larger courtrooms that help facilitate additional both criminal and civil. I think the numbers here provide the board a good representation of the 2 court commissioners that were added, 7 judges, 5 court commissioners that are currently serving for both counties. So that's a significant increase.
Right. So you'll see in 2022, before we added the 2, we only got 95 trials out. 23 with the 2 extra, it jumped to 272 trials out for the year, 309 for 2024. Currently, as we sit in 2025, it's 188 for January through August. So it's not the complete year, but we're still on track to keep seeing those high number of trials.
Have we brought the backlog down?
Yes, the backlog has significantly been reduced because of our ability to assign more judges to more trials.
Yeah, I think you remember the last time I was in front of the board about the backlog was somewhere around 10,000, case 11, almost 11, some change. And we've been able to resolve a number of those cases. And as Mr. Sant said earlier, if you look at the numbers, there are 19 criminal trials for Franklin County for this year. That's pretty good based on, holidays, weeks off. I mean, that's pretty, so far. So that's a pretty good number for criminal cases.
And bringing that backlog down, has that been sheerly getting through volumes, or is some of it statute of limitations have elapsed?
That's a great question. To the extent I have not dismissed cases that I can recall, quantify those numbers, but cases have been resolved. And as you know, that's between the Office of Public Defense, the defense attorney, and the prosecutor's office. The caseload, at least from the backlog, was we just didn't get trials out. We couldn't get enough, A, we couldn't get jurors, and B, we couldn't facilitate the number of trials based on the lack of resources.
Okay. The next slide, it kind of relates to our trials. So part of, our priority is always to get out our criminal trials that are ready to go. But with our 3 courtrooms here in Franklin County and the dockets, we are really limited to 1 trial per week. We are reorganizing our dockets starting in 2026. That will make it so we only have 1 courtroom a day dedicated to dockets. So we will have 2 courtrooms each day available to get out trials. This way, we are getting our criminals out. We can start getting more civil, domestic. We just have more opportunity to get more trials out because some of the stats for 2025 is just courtroom availability as well.
So a question on that. This room that we're sitting in here has been used for court a number of times. If we were able to clear the agenda for this room on Tuesdays and Thursdays, is that something that would be helpful to expedite some of these processes and some of the needs that you've described?
Right. We actually in the past used to frequently use this room for our domestic trials because they're non-jury. And if we had too many jury trials going out, we would just see if the room was available because you can put a domestic or a non-jury trial in here easily.
Commissioner Baumann, let me just there's only so much space. When you call in 120 jurors for, say, a murder trial or a sex case, you can only get so many folks in here, and that's in courtroom 2. Currently, the schedule is we have trials on Wednesdays, and we call in a number of jurors based on the type of trial. If we were to this schedule, it will give us some opportunities, but make no mistake, we only have 1 big courtroom in Franklin County. It's courtroom 2. And we can manage more jurors in with less severe cases that might put an undue burden on the jury's service, meaning a longer trial. We might be able to use courtroom 1 and 3 for a smaller jury trial, but it does limit the amount of jury trial just by the nature of the space. And if you can't get, for example, you could not get out multiple murder trials in Franklin County or severe trials based on the sheer volume of the jurors that would be called in and picking and sending and individual questioning. It is a logistics nightmare. But yes, I think this schedule, what's really great about the schedule is that will free up courtrooms and not for us to have the ability to do more trials. And yes, this courtroom, or this, I would say this room has been and will be utilized if it's available for bench trials where we won't need jury trial.
Well, where the space comes in too is when we have a court trial that uses one of our courtrooms. That's when we will be looking to see what else if we could still have access to this, we'd very much appreciate it, but I don't think it's really going to affect the reorganization that we're trying. Because one of the things is we met with people and we wanted to get more civil trials and domestic trials out. And the way, hopefully with this new change, we're going to see even more trials get out in Franklin County because of reorganizing the space availability, being flexible with that.
Thank you for that explanation. I just wanted to, if there's a way that we can expedite or be helpful with resources that we already have, I think that that's important. And so certainly believe that we should, where possible, we do have a conference room downstairs that people that have used this room traditionally could potentially use so that it would free it up. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I personally used this room not too long ago.
A docket, civil docket?
I did a docket in here.
Yeah.
It's challenging, but it's workable. I mean, you got to use what you got.
Yeah.
Well,
Adapt and overcome.
I'm asking a bigger question that I didn't. We've talked about the need for an administration facility in Franklin County, and so if we were to begin pursuing that, and we no longer needed this room, is this a valuable room for a
We're
more
raising our
full time?
hand. We'll use it.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Go ahead.
And the last Superior Court update, if you go to the next slide, Our current digital recording system, FTR, is, for the record, is being updated to what they call FTR real-time. What this does is all the audio, the discussions in the courtroom will also be put in like a closed caption setting, so you can actually read along. This does a couple of things for us is, one, if you had somebody who was hard of hearing, you could provide them with a laptop for them to read along with what's going on in court. We've had challenges with our listening devices, especially in our historic courtroom, because you can't really hardwire anything. But the closed captioning, real-time, it's verbatim, a transcript of what's going on in court, and it can capture up to 8 different lines of speakers in any given courtroom. Another thing that it does is for our judicial assistants who manage the recording system, it will assist them so they're not tied to the workstation, and everything is captured for note-taking within the digital recording system. Another feature in the real-time is that it has the ability to translate up to 100 different languages. While we have to provide court-certified interpreters for litigants at this point. We often get people who show up on the day of court and we didn't know they needed an interpreter. At the very least, you can tell them, here's your new court date. We'll have an interpreter available to you at your next court date, and to ensure that they got that communication before they left the courtroom.
When will we see the state come to this?
AI?
Well, yeah, we've got all this new technology, and when will they certify these devices as an official translator? I mean, this is going to save us a bunch of money.
Yes, I feel like it's, I know that administrators across the state of Washington are in the process of asking AOC to consider more AI features. It is so difficult these days to get people to come
Interpreters.
forward and take the court-certified test. I've heard it's very difficult. They have allowed us to use Pocket Talk at our windows, so I think it's slowly getting there. Other states are in the testing phases of using AI in place of real people.
Let me be real blunt, Chairman, this is the way of the future. As you recall, we couldn't get stenographers, reporters to do these types of, because we have to make a record. This is the digital age, is the way it's gonna go. This is just the first step towards it. It also has multiple uses, not only for the transcripts, daily transcripts from hearings, official record, hopefully we'll get there. Interpreters, you're gonna see if this should and could take over all the interpreters that we pay for that are very expensive, useful, but it is the way of the future. It has to be approved by the Supreme Court, and hopefully as technology advances and the accuracy increases, I think you'll see the courts move to that direction.
So
It will happen.
you answer my question. The Supreme Court is the one that's got to certify this.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's based on a rule.
So that was it. That was our updates for 2026 and our 2026 budget requests.
If you have any, first of all, thank you for
Questions?
allowing
Thank
us to come to you, talk to you.
Thank
Have any
you.
questions?
Questions, commissioners?
Would you, I guess, Tim, would you show us where we were 2025 and what the total with request would look like for
You have
2026?
the number. Did you want to?
What the difference is?
Yep.
So
First, tell me what the increases are.
I think
There's
the
no way-
overall, the baseline is always going to increase.
We're not asking for any additional employees, staffing, or such. It's an increase to the baseline, I think it was. about-
Salaries.
Salaries of
68,000. And then in my supplies and services, a little over 2,000.
But the bulk of the increase is salaries. And there's a $2,000 increase for.
Supplies and services.
Supplies and services, which are maintenance and repair for 1,000 and $1,050 for interpreters. We want to be in front of you with budget neutral, but
Yeah.
that's the best we can do.
So it looks like, Tim, what I'm reading there, is it goes from 1.18 to 1.27.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
And then the supply, then the others, part of it they were talking about was the 2050 increase for repairs and maintenance and court cost interpreters, 1,050.
All righty.
We can get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Takes us to,
Juvenile court too?
what's that?
Want to do juvenile court too before lunch break?
Yeah, we're doing it all before we adjourn because we're, yes, next is Mr. Thomason on the Juvenile Center.
I did not have a PowerPoint for that.
What do we got here?
That's some nuts. You said you couldn't have the others, so
Yeah. I haven't had no breakfast or nothing.
I hear you.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
Or afternoon, I guess it is. So we also brought a PowerPoint, if you wouldn't mind. You guys all know I can talk fast, so I'll talk fast.
I was having issues with it showing up earlier for IS as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave him the thumb drive too.
Yeah, maybe better to use the one down there.
Crystal? What's it listed? You gonna load?
Being slow, that's under pressure.
Apologize. Worked on my computer.
I tested it on a random computer at the reception area too.
Oh, I don't think I have.
Can I make an introduction before we begin our presentation? This is Chief Guerrero. He is responsible for our juvenile detention facility. We wanted to bring him here if there were any questions about juvenile detention facilities since it's no longer in county. So I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, Chief.
Well, this doesn't seem to be working, so let's, if you bear with me, I'll try to, I do have a PowerPoint in front of me, so we'll just kind of go over the numbers. I apologize that it's not working.
Can I try it one more time? I think I may have figured out my issue.
Oh, there it is. There we go. It had to download it. Okay, all right, so first off, first slide we're looking at is what the 2026 county split is. It's going from, last year was 64.22 for Benton, and Franklin County was 35.78. So there has been a more of Benton County than there is Franklin County for this upcoming year, so less money out of Franklin County's budget because of the difference. Here's our criminal referrals for the juvenile. It's kind of an interesting trend. If you look at how the orange part is trending, it was 198, and of course we had COVID, 107, but then we started trending back up, 186, 215. Then we had this huge spike of 224, and then we went back down to 263 this last year. I wasn't exactly sure. I talked to some of my staff. Beginning of this year, there wasn't as many referrals. Didn't know why. I actually reached out to the undersheriff of Franklin County. I reached out to Pasco PD to see if there was a reason why it was a little slower at the beginning of the year, and neither one of them could give me a proper answer. But if you look at the pattern here from 2023, it's still going up. We still have an increase each year if you look at the overall 5 years. Diversion cases, we have quite a few of the diversion cases that, that the prosecutor works with our diversion team and where the cases are going to go. Again, we had a spike in 2024, but if you look over the 5 years, it's still increasing.
Question on.
Here's a stat that I thought was, oh, I'm sorry.
Question on that last one. Can you describe what happened here? That's a marked separation from the trend.
So I don't know if we really can, only because we aren't responsible for the filings. It's the prosecutor's office that makes the filings and decides based upon the classification of, so this is Judge down. So I don't know if we really have an explanation because it's based upon the prosecutor's office and their filings and how they wish to treat their cases, and it's also based on the severity of the case.
So
The next
this
slide
number
has that.
would be directly related to Franklin County PA's office.
Correct.
And this is directly related to Benton County's PA's office.
No, the top one is Benton County's.
Right.
That's the average. The blue one's the, I'm sorry.
Other way.
You're right.
Benton's the blue.
You're right, I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank
But
you.
it also is this type of cases too. That you'll see on the next slide what's happening.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
This one is overall felony cases that we've had, and if you look, there's some troubling trends that are occurring, and that is the trends of violent crimes. There's a lot of more violent crimes in the Tri-City areas, and the trend of more weapons, more firearms being found out there with juvenile children carrying those weapons and using them in commissions of crimes. Drive-by shootings are up. The one I thought there's a couple of them that I thought were pretty disturbing was unlawful firearms went from 24 to 42. Robbery ones went from 14 to 19. It was just kind of across the board. There seems to be a trend of more violent crimes, more serious crimes. And I think most of us see that when we watch the news as well. That seems to be, I think, some bigger cities, we have those problems.
Have you laid that trend that you're describing, have you laid it against the diversion trend?
No, because most of these crimes are not going to be eligible for diversion,
Okay.
right? So the diversion is only eligible for the lower level crimes. So that statistic wouldn't help.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
This is detention, stayed pretty much the same across the board of how many of average daily population. But because there's more serious crimes, the average length of stay is increasing.
So, and you guys are aware that when you have a serious crime, kids are going to be in detention for a longer period of time because some of these serious crimes takes a longer time to adjudicate trial or for the negotiation. So some of the kids have been in detention for over a year waiting for their trial. So that's why that is gonna be.
No. Going on to the civil side, we have dependencies, petitions, the guardian ad litem program. Basically, these are the children in the foster care system. So petitions are going up. Terminations of parental rights have been going up. I thought this stat was kind of interesting, that termination rights this last year, we had more in Franklin County than we had in Benton County. I have no idea why, but I just thought it was an unusual stat. One of the things that the first month I was there that was very concerning to me, and I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, is unfunded mandates by Olympia, basically. So through the last budget cycle, Washington State, they decided in their wisdom to take our BECA funds from that we, Benton Franklin were getting from $350,000 and drop it to $50,000. A $300,000 shortfall, which happened almost with no warning. But they continue to say that we still have to serve the community with truancy, at-risk youth, the CHINS program, without having the ability to fund it. So we've had to make some adjustments, and because of this shortfall, we reduced the staff. That's how we made up the shortfall of 2.5 full-time employees. But yet, we still have to serve the community and still make those requirements.
By attrition or layoff?
What's that?
Did you reduce by attrition or layoff?
1.5 layoff of yeah. It was 1.5 positions was a layoff and 1 position attrition. So anyway, we are not asking for anything extra this year. So we're basically trying to do more with less employees. Questions?
Questions? Comments?
Could you pull up the spreadsheet that we've been,
Teresa, can you switch it over? So the 25 budget was 2,942,706, and it's been reduced to 2,917,667.
okay. Earlier on in one of the other budgets, when we were talking about some of the expenses that we have, I don't even know how to ask this question. I guess what all programs do you operate on behalf of Franklin County taxpayers?
We, obviously, we have truancy, at risk, CHINS. I'm going to speak about the administrative side, and if Chief would like to talk about some of the detention side, I'll let him talk about it. We have the guardian ad litem program. We have a functional family therapy program, IAC IAC program. We also have an IAC alternative choice program. We have case management assessment process. We are assisted with the block grant from the state to do juvenile service at risk, SODA or special sex offender disposition alternatives, chemical dependency and mental health disposition alternatives, individual alternative choice, that's the IAC program, sorry, education and employment training, and multiple systemic therapy classes as well. We also have, I'm sorry.
Individual treatment court.
Individual treatment.
Which is the drug court.
Yep, drug court program.
Do we have, Tim, do we have all of those laid out in separate different line items so that we can have a way of seeing what we spend on each of those different programs?
All of this budget is just in one in one line. I mean, they may have breakdowns on their side, but when it comes to us, it's just billed as one budget line that we pay to them.
Could you don't need to do that right now, but could you provide,
Well, I'm just saying, the only other breakdown would be a little bit of the narrative on the last page. There is somewhat of a breakdown, but not itemized, or it would probably be a book. So, right there. So that's sort of a little bit of a breakdown, that kind of breaks it out. Obviously, within each department, you would then have multiple line items for multiple staffs, benefits. It would be,
So, on this page, the first two, your drug court and your FFT, frankly, I can't believe I'm not loud enough.
well, we got to capture it for this is live, so capture it for the community too.
So the drug court and the FFT, the first two, that is paid per participant. So how many participants that Franklin County have, you guys pay for those participants?
So make sure I understand. So the juvenile drug court, we pay $30,413 per participant?
No, total.
So that's total per year is that number? Okay.
Correct. You, currently, I wasn't sure if you would ask for that. You currently have 3 participants in the drug court program in Franklin County.
Okay, so the first item clear at the top, Franklin County share of departments 171 and 172. So do we have a breakdown of that? Where does that go? Because this bottom part's very helpful to understand what we do on drug court, but
172 and 171, 172. 171 covers court and detention-related cost. 172 covers facility and maintenance expenses.
72.
I'm going to jump in. I know the budget really well. Commissioner Bauman, I think you're looking for line items that are specifically what the funding goes to and what's it for, meaning how many staff members. If there's 21 staff members, they're all lined out in a line item. They are there. And they're in the budget, the master budget cycle, and I think that's what you're asking. You want to.
That's 2.5 million that's in a single line that I can't articulate. Whereas
Correct.
juvenile drug court, 30,000, I understand what that is.
Correct, and there is a line item that, how it breaks it down to get to 2.917, or it breaks it specifically out, and we can provide that to you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Question I have is, Mr. Ziegler was in here earlier, the arraignment from 14 days to 3 days, is this something that's going on with juvenile justice also?
No,
No? There's,
we haven't made any adjustments for juvenile court. We are interpreting it as an adult criminal law rule. It's not applying to.
okay.
And defense attorneys haven't asked us, and we, as the judges, we've talked about it, and we're not going to make any changes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are all those mandated?
Yeah, the arraignment deal, it's mandated, but they're not observing it. The judges said they're not going to observe it, so.
No, all these programs, are they mandated at least?
Here's the thumb drive back.
Yes. By the state. So again, we have
Totally forgot. I was totally.
one
gonna
last
go
item
for it.
here.
You're gonna pay me $5.
Miscellaneous funds or
I just forgot.
postponements? We don't have any postponements or any other items to go over, do we?
We do not.
All right. Any further discussion on any of the items we went over today?
I had a question. I would like to see that breakdown. That would be very helpful.
I have a
Well, it's
Can I
a
approach you?
summary.
Yeah.
Great. This is just a summary, but.
That,
I'm gonna have her-
for the record, that's the first time that it's ever happened to me.
What?
A judge asked me if he could.
It's your boardroom.
I appreciate that.
It's your boardroom, and
I
I just
appreciate
wanted
that.
to do it out of respect.
Thank you, Judge Burrows.
And you'll get that breakdown specifically by employee, how much it costs, and how much it's charged to Franklin County. And there is a master budget line item that will break all those that amount down. So it should add up to 2.917667. But that's a summary that Crystal had.
I know, can I give you a nice copy, because I wrote all over it?
No, that he's good. Do you
I'm
have a
good.
nice copy?
Well, that's what I'm saying, I could send it.
That's yours.
I'll step out and see you in just a minute. We're just almost done here.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you so much.
You had a question? No. Commissioner Bowden.
That was just really helpful. I think I'm good. Thank you.
So my question is on the PAs. I never got a definite bottom line increase on, what are they asking for? How much?
What's going on?
On the prosecuting attorney's office.
They're asking you to give back the position that you took away to pay.
I knew that, but what was the bottom line increase that they're asking for? How many, is it millions? Because it looked to me like it was,
I was having a really hard time following that myself.
yeah. I'd just like to get that clarity on this before we leave.
So there's between the prosecuting attorney budget and the child support budget, there's a total request of 270,430. The majority of that is,
the salary.
or a large part of it is going to be salaries and benefits.
Just that
For
new-
the one position ask plus a regrade, re-step of another position. But the total of that is 186,892. And then I know there's another 70,000 for some software stuff that
Yeah, software,
they had.
which
but-
will be
So between those two, that's the,
That's the bulk of it.
the bulk of it.
The software seems like it could be something that would be a benefit because we're sharing information with other counties and other agencies, so it could be something very beneficial.
Within reason.
But we had an agreement. He eliminated the position. Now he thinks he has to have it back, and we made a deal.
That was the agreement for
Yeah.
why we eliminated the position
Yeah.
and what was being done there.
But I think the software is a good ask. I really do. I think it's something that could benefit and save us money when we're sharing information with other agencies.
I would
and-
like to have a more clear explanation for it. I got lost in the trying to, because it became a circular explanation, so I don't disagree with you, but I got lost in it. To add, so it's 44,000 plus 70,000. I didn't understand how that implementation of.
I mean, it sounded like it was it sounded like it was new, if I understood it correctly, it was new costs to implement it.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I have a thing that I had to get back with him later on.
I don't know if this will be helpful or not, but
Is this their explanation here?
yeah, this is what the cost proposal for that.
E-Verify or e-prosecutor?
Annual fee, 5 authorized users, $7,000. Each authorized user thereafter, $1,400 a user, up to $35,000.
But to implement it, it was 70,000 to bring it into play?
I'm assuming that was 70, that was implementing plus the first year's fee, because then I think they were saying, after that it would go down to 35,000 a year, I believe they had said.
Amazing. We went to digital and now we're going back to hard copy because it's faster to look it up.
I found that fascinating also.
Well, I own my shred business. When people went paperless, it created more paper.
What's that?
That's something to keep in mind too about like, I don't know, do you want me to say it into this?
No, the mics are off, aren't they?
No.
Oh, not yet, because we haven't recessed.
Well, either way, I'll just keep talking and you tell me what you want me to
All right, we are done with the workshop for today. I will recess this till 1:30 tomorrow.